Yes, guys, welcome in everyone. Good evening. Hope everyone's doing well. Big up to everyone in the chat right now. We are back again for another video. And this one, we're going to be talking about Liverpool formations, tactical analysis. We're going to be chatting all that up as soon as Cav comes in. Cav's just running a little bit late, but he'll be here soon. And we're going to be chatting all that up. In the meantime, while we're waiting, let's talk about Jude Bellingham, the player that won't go away, the transfer that never seems to end. Well, could this transfer be coming to an end at last? Now, there's a lot of positive talks going online at the moment for a lot of people in the know more than I do, that it looks like Jude Bellingham to Liverpool is going to happen. And if truth's to be told so far, apparently Liverpool have already made a bid of £84 million. So the news at the moment with Jude Bellingham is he's been talking with Liverpool, Real Madrid and Man City apparently. Liverpool are apparently the team he is going to choose. Liverpool not having Champions League next season is not going to be a factor, considering Jude Bellingham's age. He's only, 19, 20 years old. 1 year without Champions League football is not the end of the world if you're going to be at the club for a good few years. This is massive. This would be absolutely huge if this happens. Apparently, Liverpool, it's been said, a lot of top journalists, top reporters are now reporting that Liverpool have done everything they think they can now to persuade Bellingham to come to the football club. It looks like Bellingham is persuaded and wants to come to the football club. And all it takes is an offer now, an official approach from Liverpool. Liverpool are just waiting for Jude Bellingham to make up his mind. Apparently, Jude Bellingham is going to come out with a statement soon. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow, apparently. We're expecting a statement in the next 24 hours from Jude Bellingham. That is what I'm reading so far today. With his ignition of where he wants to go. If he's setting his sights to go to Anfield next season, if Liverpool hear them words, the rumours are Liverpool will put in an official bid for Jude Bellingham. A lot of stuff has happened behind the scenes. There's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes right now. I think Liverpool have been talking to his parents. I think they've been talking to his dad, Mark, who runs his day-to-day life for Jude. Jude loves the chance to playing for Liverpool. Apparently, he's got good mates at Liverpool already in Hendo and Trent. It'd be easy to settle in. He wants to play for Jurgen Klopp is another big factor. And he's not put off by not having Champions League next season. As I say, he's only 20 years of age. All that will come to him in no time at all. As I keep saying, Champions League factors should not always be considered. You can buy good players without being in Champions League. Look at Arsenal and Man United the last couple of years. You don't always need Champions League to buy good footballers. You just got to bring good footballers in with the promise that they'll be playing in the promised land in no time. Liverpool getting Jude Bellingham would be huge to their career season next year. It's the piece of the jigsaw they desperately need filling. With the likes of Navigator leaving, the likes of Oxlade-Chamberlain leaving, Hendo coming to the end of his career, Milner off as well now. By the look of the news with James Milner, he will not sign a new contract. James Milner is going to leave this football club. There's news going around the club right now that Jurgen Klopp is going to get very ruthless in this summer transfer window. I'll wait to see that for myself because I've never seen it yet. But there's rumours Klopp is going to be extremely ruthless this summer transfer window. He knows the players that need to be gone. He knows we need players in. And if you go from a Klopp comment that was made the other day about summer transfer window, we're going to get players in, but not everyone's going to be happy with it. What Klopp was basically saying there is that this Liverpool fan base, Klopp is very aware what the fan base is asking for players. Klopp is very aware. And I think he's making a mark of that by people like Mason Mount could come to this football club. Jude Bellingham could come to this football club. that kind of caliber of player. And some people in the fan base might not be happy with that. But if that's the players Klopp wants, I've said this from time to time again, guys. People in the chat, people do YouTube shows, and other Liverpool fans, and so on and so on. They'll have their own opinions of all this. Liverpool shouldn't be buying that marquee kind of player. Liverpool shouldn't be in for that kind of player, this kind of player, that kind of player, because we're Liverpool Football Club. And that's silly. It's just silly because Liverpool, we got to learn that Klopp likes a certain type of player to suit his system, and if he gets them players in and it works, what does it matter? Yeah, we might get Mason Mount in and not a Barella, but if Mason Mount works better than Barella in Klopp's system, then what's the point of buying Barella? I've seen too many teams in Europe and in this Premier League alone, including teams like Man United and Chelsea in recent years, that buy marquee players and then have no idea what to do with them. And they struggle and they struggle and they struggle. Players players like Paul Pogba, Jason Sancho in recent years, Angel Di Maria, in recent years for Man United that are quality players, marquee names, but they can't put them into a system that suits their abilities. So they struggle. Chelsea Football Club right now have got a health load of players. Kai Havertz struggles. 3 years he's been at Chelsea now. Struggles in a system of play at Chelsea. So he just looks like an odd man out. We've got to make sure, yeah, we want marquee signings. Of course we do. We want marquee signings. Are we going to get marquee signings of that caliber? Maybe not. Maybe not. But we're going to get signings that suits a Jurgen Klopp system. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about. Buying players that suit your manager's system. That's all I ever wanted. We're in a day and age now where football is all about systems. People might not like it. People might hate it. But everything is about systems now. Winning is so important now. 3 points is so important. There's so much money in football that all it matters now is systems. And you've got to get players that suit that system. If a manager's got a system he wants to play, then go and buy the players for that manager. Then it's on the manager, guys. Then you can't have no nonsense. There can't be no talks about this person and that person. If Jurgen Klopp wants managers that suit his system, go and get them players for him. And then if it doesn't work, it's on the manager. Yeah, then we come back and talk about the manager. But until then, just get the players he wants. Look, Klopp's been at the club long enough now. No matter what I've been saying about Jurgen this whole year, this whole season, and I think how bad he's been at coaching this season and getting things wrong, waiting too late to do things and change things, playing the same tied system all year, not changing it up. No matter what I've been saying about all that, the man's been at this club long enough now and won everything there is to win. He deserves the players he wants. In my opinion, if Klopp wants Mason Mount, go and get him Mason Mount. If Klopp wants Jude Bellingham, go and get him Jude Bellingham. It's as simple as that. And then if it doesn't work, then the manager has to hold his hands up and say he's the reason it doesn't work. But we've got to give him that now. There's no excuses for this football club. No excuses at all. Big up to everyone in the chat. I hope you're all doing well. Iabird, Damien, Gillian, Redbird, Jade. Big up to Jade. Henry, Colin. How we doing, man? How we all doing? Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing well. Standing in the chat. Daz. Big up to all of you. Big up to you. KVJ in the house as well. Ryan, Colin. Good to see you all here, guys. Good to see you all here. As I said, Cav is on his way. Once Cav gets here, we're going to the tactical analysis of Liverpool Football Club and what we probably should do to the end of the season into next season. We're going to talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold's positioning, what we do with Trent, and we're also going to get Cav's view on the Arsenal game, as I've not really spoke to him about the Arsenal game yet and have some fallout from that as well. So plenty coming up in the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So stick with us, guys. We'll have a good show. We're just waiting for Cav, so we're going to chat a bit till Cav gets here. Big up Goat Since. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, that's the Jude Bellingham stuff. That's the Jude Bellingham stuff right there. Um, so I got a message today, a DM today. I don't think he'll mind me telling the world. Frankie. So Frankie, as we know, he came on the channel last Wednesday in the calling show, and I believe Frankie is from Singapore, if I believe rightly. Um, right. I don't think Frankie will mind this. I'm going. Right, hang on. Right, 1 minute, guys. So I don't think Frankie will mind me telling you this, guys. Right. Right, here we go. Right. I'm going to share this with you on the screen, guys. Big up Jenny in the chat as well. I'm going to share this on there with you guys. This is what Frankie DM'd me today. Frankie's a good guy. He's coming up with some information for us, as we know. I think Frankie is in. I think is it Singapore you're in, Frankie? If you're watching, my man, he's going to try and make it on tomorrow night's calling show and tell you guys what he's heard as well. But he DM'd me this today and allowed me to tell you guys. So this is his DM to me. So, hey Jamie, Frankie here, who was on your channel sharing the investment news last week. Just an update. Was told that the final numbers in the FSG and GIC private limited agreement are as follows. GIC will acquire 33% stake in Liverpool Football Club, and that is Liverpool only, so it's not FSG, Liverpool only, for 1.3 billion, right? With a 4 billion valuation. The deal will be announced at the end of the season. Now, if you remember rightly, I did a video the other day talking about it looks like investments coming. Remember, I think it was what 3-4 days ago. I said we talked about an investment is definitely coming to Liverpool. It looks like it's hotting up, and it looks like it could happen at the end of the season. Now, Frankie here, I believe Frankie lives in Singapore, and GIC are a Singapore company. Yeah, they're a company out there in Singapore, and he said on our calling show last Wednesday that the talk out there in Singapore at the moment is them investing into Liverpool. So I'm going to take it that Frankie knows stuff. To be fair, guys, so I'm going to take that Frankie knows stuff here. If I had to make an educated guess, so this is Frankie just making an educated guess on things, how that money would be used by FSG in the summer. 1 billion will go to FSG directly. 70 million goes to paying off the remainder of the loans to FSG, and 250 million will be available for transfers. So, if you remember rightly, the last month or so, there's been news out there from Liverpool sources and journalists from the Northwest and stuff like that who have a lot to say. Like a lot of journalists who, like David Lynch and stuff like that, have been saying that Liverpool are going to have a war chest of around 250 million in the summer. Now, everyone asks where this number came from. So this could be like the truth here, guys. This could be the honest truth. You know, big up Frankie, obviously out there in Singapore. I think it's Singapore he said he was from. He called in last Wednesday, guys, and gave us that news live last Wednesday as well. And because he lives out there, he's from there. He's been hearing that news out there constantly, apparently. And this is what he's heard. And he just messaged me with that today. But he's going to try and come on tomorrow night's show, guys, for the call-in show, and tell you all live tomorrow night. But yeah, that's what he's heard. Now, this would be massive news. This will be absolutely huge news, and I hope it's true. Liverpool obviously needs some financial help. There's no doubt about that. Investment is needed into this football team, and hopefully they found that investment. This would be massive. This company as well, GIC, are a massive, massive company. They're richer than the company that owns Newcastle right now, I believe. I think it's Newcastle. They're rich. No, not Saudi Arabia. No, they're richer than the company that own PSG, I believe. You know the Qatar company that tried to buy Liverpool and that are trying to buy Man United. You know that company there. This Singapore company are much. They're worth more than they are. So that is quite good news if this is the case, because eventually they would probably take over Liverpool Football Club in a couple of years' time. What you'd probably see is they come in with a small investment first, take 33% of the football club, and then they're sharing the football club. They would try eventually in a couple of years probably to take a 51% share of the football club, which would make them the majority owners of Liverpool Football Club. I don't think there'd ever be 100% owners, because I think John W. Henry would still like a bit of the cherry. So you can still see him having a percentage of the football club. But if they do come in with investment, with how wealthy they are, how powerful they are, and how they drive for success, I've been reading up on GIC, they drive for success in everything they do. They want to succeed in everything they do. They don't like losing. They will eventually try and own Liverpool Football Club in the next couple of years if they take over as investors, in my opinion. So that is they're worth a lot of money, as Slatan says. They're Singapore worth 700 billion. I mean, it's a lot of cash they're worth. It's a lot of cash. So 250 million just from investment, or so whatever else the club makes can also be added if this is true. So 250 million plus 100 million. Oh, the outgoings, exactly. That is why, if you think about it, we've had a lot of journalists in the last few weeks or month or so talking about that there would definitely be big investment in this summer in this football club, and putting prices on it. Everyone's around this 200 and 250 million pound war chest, and it's not coming from FSG directly. It's coming from investment, and people might know more than they're letting on right now. There might be something big going with this football club right now, and if the investment side of it is true, then it's massive for Liverpool Football Club. So my man Frankie from Singapore messaged me today and basically said, I'll let everyone know one more time, that GIC, let me read it out to you. There you go, my man Frankie. Hey Jamie, Frankie here, who's on the channel sharing the investment news last week. Just an update. I was told that the final numbers in the FSG and GIC private limited agreement are as follows. GIC will acquire 33% in Liverpool, and he's put that's in Liverpool Football Club only, for 1.3 billion with a valuation of 4 billion. Deal will be announced at the end of the season. Now, Frankie, my man, came on last Wednesday and gave us that news in the call-in show as well. So, yeah, this could be big, man. Jane, could you enlarge it? I could not see it. I think I enlarged it as big as I could, Jen, to be fair, because otherwise it won't come up on the screen. Yeah, if I enlarge it anymore, it won't come up on the screen, my friend. Yeah, so this is massive news, guys. This is massive news. Big up to everyone in chat. All doing well. Big up Spider. Big up Stubbsy. Big up Jade. Hope you're all doing well. Big up Don C. Hope you're doing good. And of course, Jenny in the chat as well. Go and subscribe to Jenny's channel, Kloppish. And that's Klopp-ish, not Cop. Kloppish. Go and subscribe to Jenny. Lovely person. Go and give Jenny a follow. Go and give her a follow. Big up Pimp in Distress. Take a sad song and make it better. Hey Jude. Big up Pimp in Distress. How you doing, my man? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, so that's the news I've got so far regarding the that side of investment. It looks like investment will happen to Liverpool Football Club. If not, it's probably when now. I reckon come to the end of the season, we'll get some breaking news that FSG have broke a deal. We'll go get investment, and then we'll go have a big summer transfer window and change this club around. Right, some more transfer news. So there's two players. Liverpool look like they're very very closely monitoring. We know the Jude Bellingham stuff. We know that it looks like that deal could actually be done. We are going to wait for news on Jude Bellingham's side there. It looks like there's something going on there. It looks like there's a lot of talks happening behind the scenes. Liverpool are just waiting for Jude Bellingham's final say, apparently. This is what I'm reading today from in some articles, that they're just waiting for his say, and then Liverpool will go in with a transfer. Apparently, there's rumours today. I don't know. I think it was, I can't remember the journalist's name, but he was saying today that Liverpool put in an £84 million transfer for Jude Bellingham already as a starter offer, just to open up the offers a little bit. So we see how we go in there. But the other one is Brighton are aware of Liverpool's growing interest in Alexis McAllister and are likely to be blown out of the water by any personal terms put on offer. The midfield is keen to leave the Amex in the summer to play at a higher level. So Liverpool been linked very heavily with Alexis McAllister in recent weeks, and it looks like the links for Alex McAllister are getting a bit stronger. I don't know how everyone feels about Alex McAllister. I like McAllister. I think he's a good player. I just don't know if he suits us. I really don't know if McAllister suits us so much. This is where I was talking earlier on in my video this afternoon about Liverpool maybe changing tactics, changing system, changing formations going into next year. I'll tell you what, McAllister and Jude Bellingham completely changes this midfield. And McAllister and a Jude Bellingham, who's George? A Jude Bellingham completely changes our midfield. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. My man's here. Let's get Cav in. There we go, my man Cav. How you doing, mate?
Hey, I'm all right. I'm doing good. So sorry I'm late. Traffic, and then I got back. Dog was going mental, and I got a bit of a cold. But I'm here. I'm surviving. I'm alive. So let's crack on.
How was your trip to Barcelona? All good?
Yeah, sound. Yeah. Really nice trip. I was only over there for a few days. But it was good. It was nice. Weather was all right. Sunny enough. Managed to see the sights and went to the Camp Nou one day and tried to get tickets to the Madrid game, but didn't quite work out, unfortunately. So, but no, it was good. It was a good trip.
Big up Shane. Hi Jamie. Do you follow Liverpool fan Duncan Oldham at all? He has a channel, but it seems to divide opinion. Yeah, I'll follow Duncan. Duncan, yeah, man. Duncan's been going forever. Duncan's channel's proper old, man. He's been going forever as Duncan. He's I think he lives in LA at the moment, or somewhere in America anyway. Yeah, he's a good guy. I like him. Big up Spider. I'll check that, man. Don't worry. Yeah, so we're just talking there before you come in, before we get to our tactical analysis of today's topics. Just talking about investments. So last Wednesday, I had a guy called Frankie came onto the show last Wednesday in the call-in show, and he's from Singapore, and he was talking about all they're talking about in Singapore at the moment. A lot of news coming out of Singapore is GIC invested into Liverpool Football Club. Now, we've heard little bits of GIC. I don't know if you've known, but there's little things about GIC investing in Liverpool Football Club. GIC are worth 700 billion. And so I heard about that. And then a few days later, I did a video about Liverpool getting investment could be at the end of the season, because I saw an article on This Is Anfield website. And it's basically talking about GIC there. And then my man Frankie DM'd me today and said he's heard more news about it. And basically, let me just read it out what he said to me. So he said, "Hey Jamie, Frank here, who's on your channel sharing investment news last week. Just an update. Was told that the final numbers in the FSG GIC private limited agreement are as follows. GIC will acquire 33% stake in Liverpool, and he's put Liverpool only, and for a valuation of 4 billion. The deal will be announced at the end of the season." What do you feel about that? Because there is, I do think there is something happening with behind the scenes, because I think journalists know something that they can't maybe put out in print yet because of embargoes and all that. But there's always this talk that Liverpool will go have a big transfer summer, and we all know FSG, and these journalists know FSG. So there must be something happening because I do think we're going to spend quite big in the summer, and I do think investment is more than likely. What do you reckon, man?
Yeah, well, if you go back a bit further than that, the statement was that they're looking for investment. The statement wasn't that there was going to be a full sale. It's just that we were trying to read between the lines and figure out actually what do they really want and mean. But they did say there would be an investment, and that's what it seemingly looks like to be. So, if you go off of that, it looks like it might happen and it might be true. 33% is interesting because that suggests that might increase over time, in my opinion, and that it will become a full takeover at some point. I don't know. 33%, obviously, you're not enough to be a majority shareholder, but I think 33% gives you enough stake in the pie to have a say on proceedings and where that money goes and how we operate as a club and as an institution, or not so much as a football team as such. I'm not too sure, but I think it's positive. I think it's positive that there is some investment, if the news is true, because you'd like to think that is going to go into, the transfer kitty. The club off the pitch, has built up. We've seen that with the revenues, and we looked at the figures back in, a couple of months ago. So we know the club's successful off the pitch. We know we're growing off the pitch. It's just not enough to sort of generate the cash needed to put into one summer or a couple of summers. So you'd like to think that's where this investment would go. I think it probably be being realistic, looking at the amount of money that would come into the club at 33% sale. I think it's like 1.2 billion or something like that. Yeah, that's going to be put over a few transfer windows. We've seen this with Liverpool. You talk about the forward line. That didn't happen in one transfer window, moving on from Mane, Salah and Firmino. I know Salah's still here and Firmino's going, but the likes of Diaz came in January. Then it was Nunes, Jota prior to that. It's being replenished over a few windows, and I think that will start to happen with the other areas of the pitch. So I agree with you. I think there's money to be spent this summer because quite simply we have to. And I think this investment gives us some money to spend. But I also think it's going to be spread out across the next few windows. So I think we possibly go big this summer. But then January, I'd like to see us again bring a couple of extra players in. Next, the following summer, bring a couple of players in. Before you know it, you're a year away from where you are now, and actually your squad looks really replenished and in a better place. So yeah, I'm on the same line of thinking with you. I mean, all of these things, until it happens, you kind of just have to, don't hold your breath too much. But it's positive news, and it comes at a good time as well. We're sort of the season's tailing out. I don't think we're going to get top four. It's a little bit disappointing. A lot of fans have kind of accepted where we are. The club should really be looking at sort of what dealings they're going to do in the summer now, so that they can get some deals across the line at this point in time. If that player and the club is in a situation where you can do that, but at least get to the summer and do your business early as well. I don't want us to go through the summer and be chasing a player and, finally getting when we're already through a pre-season and, you're doing it all last minute before you start a new season. I think we should just fully prepare, get the signings in as early as possible, spend the money if we have to, and just rebuild again. So I think it's positive. I think it's good news. And like I say, it's probably believable because it falls in line with what we've been told by FSG already with their statement back in, when was it, October, November?
Yeah, October time. Yeah, I went back and read that statement recently, and the wording in it is very, there's purpose put wording in it as well. And you read it, and I think they would have sold the football club if they got a massive offer that they couldn't turn down. An offer that was stupid to turn down. But at the same time, I also think John W. Henry wants to keep a tiny percentage of the football club, so he's still got a little bit on there, which is fair. It's up to him. But
also, why if you're looking for a minority sort of, you want to sell a minority sort of stake and get some a partial shareholder in or something like that, you wouldn't need to make a statement. No. You just do that behind the scenes, and then you would just hear about it in an article or a report coming out to say, oh, such and such is invested into Liverpool, and then what are the ramifications of that? But actually, to come out and say we're actively looking, I took that as actually it's probably a bit more than that. I think they were actually looking at who's interested. I know we've said minority investment, but actually by saying something, I think really they're open to a full sale. I just don't like you said. I just don't think if there was an offer, it just didn't meet the valuation that they wanted.
It didn't meet the valuation exactly, and look when they're saying the words they were saying like actively looking. When you say stuff like that, I reckon you've already spoken to someone. I reckon there's things happening behind the scenes where they like people have made. There's no way. The way Liverpool are, if you look how much commercial revenue, how much Liverpool are a profitable company, and we're not talking about small money here. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions. Yeah, they're not making that in profit, but they're making that as a club, in revenue and stuff like that. So companies will be looking at it and think, oh, I could, if I put a bit in here, and we keep that going, I'm going to see my money back in no time. That ain't an issue. I'd want to be part of this. Yeah. But with 33%, if it is true that they're going to put a 33% thing in, that tells me they got aspirations of taking over the club full time eventually, because that's a big stake straight away. No, it's not like 10, 15%, it's 33%. And, you could see in 2 years' time that they could go up to 40, 43, keep going up to that 51 mark. That's probably what they're going to look at. I think Arsenal did that, didn't they? Because for the new guys, that have got 100% ownership of Arsenal now, I think they had like the minor majority of it,
share of it. Yeah.
And was it Ustinov or something like that who had the majority share of Arsenal Football Club, but he weren't putting money into the club, and that's why Arsenal fans were moaning all the time. And then I think they took over and bought his shares out, and then they had like a 50-something majority of the football club, and now they got the full football club to themselves. So maybe they're looking at something like that for the future.
Yeah.
Which, would help everything, definitely.
You got to think as well, like, I think this figure's correct at 33%. It's 1.2 billion. You just got to think, what does 1.2 billion give you? Well, realistically, what does that mean for the club? It's not going to get you a new stadium. We don't need that. It's not really going to pay for any more expansions, because I don't think there's any more we can possibly do. With the training ground's new, so it's not going to give you any more of that. I know there is overheads that we need to cover, but be it that we made a small bit of profit this year, you'd like to say that the overheads are already covered, in what we generate as a club. So that money surely, I don't know, but I would just think that money surely got to go into, or majority of it's got to go into transfers, right? I know wages constantly increase and the cost of running the club will constantly increase, but so will the revenue. So then you got to think, well, this injection of cash, where will it go? And I would like to think it'll go into the transfer kitty. But like I say, I think you'll probably see that money spread over 5 years, maybe, as opposed to one window. Obviously, we can't do it in one window because financial fair play. But yeah, at least it leaves you in a position where your club is sustainable. It's healthy as a business. It's still an attractive proposition, despite being out of Europe maybe next season, or Champions League, sorry. And you're now able to spend money on the transfer fees to get the players in, because I don't think wages are a particular issue. I mean, we're never going to pay Haaland's £1 million a week and Mbappe's £1 million a week. We're not going to do that.
But we don't. Not many teams do. Not many teams do, though. It's just it's one or two players in world football that are going to cost money that certain teams just can't afford to buy, and that's just the way it is. But on an average, players. I think everyone in football thinks every player's on 300 grand a week. I think they just assume, he's got to be on 300 grand a week. He can never join Liverpool. He's got to be on. That's just not the case at the end of the day. A lot of players are, especially out of England, a lot of players in the French, German, Italian teams that are maybe not the big names, are not on wages anywhere near compatible to average Premier League players.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, wages I don't think are going to be as much an issue as people think they are. I know people think, Bellingham's going to want like 400 grand a week. No one's going to give him that straight away. He's 20 years of age.
And you're not going to sign 3 or 4 Bellinghams. He's a one-off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's an anomaly if you bring him in. And he might move on, but you assume he's a 10-year investment. Well, and if he leaves in 5, you'd sell him for a value that also repays the 5 you had ahead, if that makes sense. So I think you look at that as a long-term thing. I think Liverpool probably need to go back to being smart in the transfer window and looking at players that aren't at the top table, but are about to peak, or on that
Project
crest
players.
of the wave. Yeah, like
Project players.
Mane was when he came in, and Salah was when he came in.
And how long Salah been here now?
Exactly.
6 years.
Yeah.
6 years, and that's what a lot of players, like a lot of Liverpool fans, don't like this and don't want it. But I think the club are looking at quality project players, and by that I mean like players that are 20, 21, 22. They're not going to do it next season, but in the next 2 or 3 years they're going to go to a level that's up here and take the club there with them. But some Liverpool fans just want, let's get the 27, 26-year-olds already at that level. But that's just not the way the club's run, and I don't think the club will ever be run that way.
Well,
Plus,
if your
I
aspiration...
don't know if the manager wants that either at the same time.
That's true. Yeah, that's the way Klopp likes to work, isn't it? He likes this project-based thing and developing players and things like this. He doesn't want to bring in the ready-made article usually. I know Virgil and Ali, not even Ali, but Virgil probably the one that jumps out to me where you're like, he is kind of like almost the finished article that would step in. He would prefer to develop players. But I think the thing is, if your aspiration is to win the league title and win more the league title than the Champions League, but the Champions League as well, you kind of have to build a team over the course of a few years because you're competing with City. That's the trouble. Like, you look at this Arsenal team, and the core of that squad had been playing together last season as well. So they'd sort of had that experience together, built on what they knew and their fluidity as a team and the chemistry and all that, and then put together a really good campaign this season. I think what you can't do and is sign a player that's a top star, but he's only going to be there for 2 years. And then you say you've got 3 of them players in the squad, and the remaining 7 or 8 are project players that are on different levels. By the time they reach their peak, the others have probably moved on. And before you know it, you've never really got a core 13 to 15 players to put a real run together and win a league title. So I think you kind of have to build these players and these teams up together, and that's why age profiling is so important as well. So
exactly, I agree. And with that, there's a player doing the rounds at the moment that's, obviously the Jude Bellingham's one's there, and I think that deal looks like that could be done. Apparently, a couple of reporters are reporting this evening that Jude Bellingham is coming down to just Liverpool and Real Madrid apparently, and let's see. But
if he goes Madrid, do you reckon there'll be one out at Madrid? I'm thinking maybe Tchouaméni, maybe.
There was a lot of talk the last few days that Tchouaméni might leave. Now, Liverpool obviously tried to get Tchouaméni last season. Now, this would be the maddest transfer of all time, if you ask me. That Tchouaméni goes to Real Madrid for 1 year. They buy Bellingham, ship Tchouaméni back off, and Tchouaméni goes to Liverpool where he should have gone the season before. It's absolutely balmy and makes no sense whatsoever. Bellingham to Real Madrid. Look, Bellingham, if he ever wants to play Real Madrid, he's got time. I don't think a 20-year-old should be going to Real Madrid right now. They've still got... I don't know if he gets in front of, your Tchouaméni and Camavinga just yet. And, they've been at Real Madrid now, Camavinga a couple of years, 3 years now. Tchouaméni's been there a year. I think Bellingham goes there. If he goes to Liverpool, not only is Bellingham guaranteed to play every single game for Liverpool as a starter, he's also, for me, sort of guaranteed to be Liverpool captain in a couple of years' time as well. And that is going to be looked at as well, because Henderson, got 2 years left in his deal. The rumours are Henderson's retiring once his Liverpool contract's finished. He's not going to move to another club. He's going to go finish his career. You got Virgil. I don't think Virgil's captaincy material at club level. You got Robbo. I don't know how many legs are left in Robbo at this club. And then you got Alisson, who's probably the obvious choice, apart from Trent, because he's a scouser. So then you got Jude Bellingham. Jude's probably going to look at it and think, I can lead this team. Look, he's not the club captain of Borussia Dortmund. That's Royce. When Royce is not available to play, Bellingham's the captain on that pitch. And I think Liverpool might be looking at that as well, thinking, he plays every week. There's a massive chance that he's going to be the captain. The problem is Liverpool could put too much pressure on him, making captain and giving them number 8. And that's just going to be like, that's just like the Steven Gerrard clone. I've said it for a while. Liverpool have never replaced Steven Gerrard. It's impossible to do, but Bellingham could be the one that, we've been looking for a long, long time now.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he's got everything. He's got everything to sort of. He's got a better chance than anybody else, hasn't he, to sort of get close to that level and that kind of reign at Liverpool. I think the thing for Jude is he's got a. If he comes to Liverpool, he's got to. I think he'll be a success here regardless. I don't think there's much risk unless Liverpool don't invest in the squad wisely and we continue to sort of stay where we are at the minute or decline further, which I don't think will happen, to be honest. But it's whether he comes here, he develops, he likes it and he stays. That would be our hope. But he could also then make that move to Madrid later, 3-4 years down the line. Get a big signing on bonus. So he'll be handsomely looked after, financially. And then he's still playing for that top club in Europe. So he can still do all of that. Or it's whether he's looking at building brand Bellingham, whether he's trying to, get what club can offer him more money and more opportunities with image deals and things like that. Does he want to be plastered all over as a Calvin Klein model and appear on billboards everywhere and all these kind of things? Because unfortunately, that's how some players are kind of looking at their careers now. They do the football, yes. You need to be successful on the pitch to be successful off it. But a lot of them look at can build their brand as well. And when you're a top star like Jude, at his age, he might just be looking at that, how we can sort of build that brand. And I honestly don't know which would be the better club for him. Maybe still be Liverpool because there's so many stars at Madrid. I don't know how much he would sort of stand out or how much they would like put him as the pin-up one.
I mean, Bellingham at Liverpool is still massive. I mean, look at Mo Salah at Liverpool. Mo Salah, it's always been Mo Salah. Comes to Liverpool and he's on the front cover of GQ magazine.
That's and that's the point I'm trying to make. These kind of opportunities, because I think that's what a lot of modern sort of young players that's what sparks their interest,
Yeah, it's their franchise. Players are now a franchise. That's what players are. Their likeness. Look, they make money off the game, but you got to remember, a footballer finishes a career at 35, they're done. So they need to make money after, and that's what they're thinking now. They make so much money off one photo, one post on Instagram. You know what I mean? They make so much money off it. Commercial deals going with it and stuff like that. That is part of the game now, unfortunately. People might not like it, but that's not just football. If you look at all top sports now, that is one of the big things that they look to franchise themselves. And, why not? We'd probably all be doing it as well if we're 20 years old and professional footballers making money. You know what I mean? It's the way the game is. It's the way.
Neymar's a good example. If you watch the Neymar documentary, you look at his dad and how much pressure he piles on. I think every few days or every week they have a branding meeting where they talk about Neymar and what avenue is going to go down with his branding and stuff. You're just like, he seems a bit mad. Surely he should just be concentrating on playing football. But that is the life of a footballer now. If you're a top star,
and they work out how many posts you put on Instagram as well. It's mad.
It's mad.
Because they work out, like, if you put 7 posts a week, that will make you so much. If you put too much, you won't get enough for it. It's like, it's just madness. That's why they're not. That's why when footballers, they go on Instagram, you don't see them bashing pictures out all the time. It's like, one today, one tomorrow and stuff like that, because that's how it works. It's just a madness.
Strategic.
Big up ends. Talk about Ali McAllister. So McAllister is one of the footballers that Liverpool apparently very strongly linked with the last few days with Bellingham. The Mason Mount stuff's gone a little quiet. I still think there's a lot in that, but McAllister's come to the forefront, and Brighton know he's leaving in the summer. I think McAllister's made it clear he wants to leave Brighton in the summer, even if Brighton get European football. How do we feel about McAllister? Say Liverpool did have this summer where they went, you know what, here's Bellingham and McAllister. They're your two midfielders. How happy would you be?
I'd be definitely happy with the names, don't get me wrong. But I would like us to see it bring in an extra body. I do. I think we might need 3. And then also there's the issue that neither of them are really a 6. So if Fab moves on, or he stays, then the 6 is either Fab or Henderson, unless you put Bajcetic back in there. I would like to see a defensive-minded midfielder come in, as well as, 1 or 2 of them kind of profile of players. But I like McAllister as a player. I think he's had a great season for Brighton. Obviously went off to the World Cup, won it, and played well in that tournament as well. Slightly different role off the left, but he's been good all season. He's been dead consistent. I think I first kind of really took notice of him when he scored the hat trick, and I was like, McAllister, like, this guy's not in the England fold. And then you realise he's Argentinian.
He's Argentinian. It doesn't even look Argentinian, though, does it?
No.
It doesn't even look Argentinian.
Yeah.
I would say he looks like an Essex boy. Herschel, yeah, big up, man. We spoke about the Singapore news at the beginning of the video. I had a DM off my friend who lives in Singapore right now talking about GIC. So, yeah, it was at the beginning of the video, my man. Look, we need a number 6. There is no doubt about that. I think Klopp's going to keep Fabinho for another year and thinking if I get players around him and we rotate him with Stefan through the season, I might be able to get away with it without getting a number 6 for a year, which if that's the way to go, it's the way to go. I think Stefan's going to play a lot more football next season. I think Liverpool got a little lucky with Stefan because I think if there weren't injury problems to Liverpool this season and the way we were playing, I don't know if Stefan would have played for Liverpool ever. But he got his way into the team. And to credit to Stefan, he got his way into the team and he made sure he doesn't come out of it. And you only got to credit the player for that. And he looks quality. And the thing is, he's a young kid, so you got to look after him. And I think him as a rotational player, maybe with Fabinho next season, is probably the route to go. Keeps Fabinho sharp, knowing that he's got someone there who's going to take his spot. Also, you can rest Fabinho in games. And, if Bacetic is coming in for that number 6 role and you've got a Bellingham alongside him and an Alexis McAllister alongside him or a Thiago alongside him, I'm not worried about the guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah. I mean, we can only go off what we've seen with Bacetic, and he's obviously not played a full campaign yet, but he's done incredibly well. He's a great footballer, and he's handled himself quite well in this team, which hasn't been performing, and in this league. And it's a shame he's got injured because it was from the point he come in, he was probably one of our better players on the pitch week in, week out, which is why he kept getting selected, even though he's quite young. I mean, credit to him for breaking into the team, but also credit to Liverpool for signing him, scouting him and getting him in. So, that's one success story, I think, from Liverpool's recruitment point of view, and getting a young man in and breaking into the team. I'll be totally fine with seeing Bacetic play, as a starter next season, to be honest with you. He sort of came in as the 6 and did really well, moved into the 8 and continued to do well. So I'm not sure which position would be his, which one would be his first choice. Maybe the 6, because he was a centre-back originally, wasn't he, I think?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if we're going into next season, I would probably start him ahead of Fab at this point in time, if Fab's to stay here.
Do you know what? I think if Bacetic didn't get injured, I think he'd be ahead of Fab right now.
Yeah. So, but then it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you look at performances like Man City at home and then the second half of the Arsenal game, and we're not talking about Fab, but he did have a decent game, and he is part of the reason why we were able to sort of push up the pitch and pile on the pressure and stuff. And before you know it, players are sort of putting in performances. I know it's only glimmers, and there's not been enough of it this season, but, you think he's dead and buried, and then he puts in a good performance. You're like, is it just that the whole team's not performing? Is it just a lack of confidence and that he's just one that's been particularly poor? Or is it that the legs have gone and he can't do it for us anymore? I think it's really difficult because usually you just have 1 or 2 players that let you down and you think, that you need to replace them. But when everybody lets you down, it's like really difficult to assess who really deserves to stay and be given another chance and who actually is done. And then what people tend to do is look at the age and then just go back. If he's near 30 or over 30, his legs must have gone, he must be dead, when actually we know that's not true because some of the best players in the world are over 30. So Fab's a difficult one. I wouldn't take the risk. I would get somebody in and just nail down that position. But who's to say that he can't sort of revive his career and sort of have a good couple of years. I don't know how long's on his contract, but maybe a year or 2 for us. He's only 29, isn't he?
Yeah, apparently. I need to see that passport. Right, let's go to tactical analysis. So, right, we saw against Arsenal. Before we get into that, I need your opinion on the Arsenal game. Everyone knows my opinion on the Arsenal game. Did the watch along, and before the watch along, all I said is even if we lose this game, but we show passion, strength, humility, all parts of Liverpool, we still lose, I'll be happy with it. So coming back and drawing that game on Sunday, should have probably won it in reality. And the passion we showed and the tempo we played that and all parts of Liverpool coming back. The last half hour of that game, we were just pressing Arsenal like old Liverpool. Arsenal started to look tired. It's the first time I've seen Arsenal look tired in the game. And I was like, that's what I want. So I was hyper about the result because it weren't the scoreline that bothered me. It was our performance, and that was old Liverpool. So, yeah, what's your feelings on the game?
I think for me, for the remainder of the season, I just want to see us take these final games as like an extended preseason. Work on some, tactics, maybe change a few things around tactically or stylistically. Try a few new players, maybe try them in different positions, maybe put together a different forward line and see how it works and things like that. Just try and learn some things about your squad and the players that you think are going to be here next season in preparation for next season. Because I don't think we'll get top four. And to be honest, if we're not getting top four, I don't really care where we finish after that. I'm not bothered about Europa League or conference or anything like that. So, but I did kind of look at this Arsenal game and go, well, maybe start that tactical tweaks after, because Arsenal have sort of, as good as they've been, and they have answered a lot of questions this season and overcome some adversity as well. They do falter at Anfield. And if we can just put some pressure on and get the crowd on side, I think we could, run away with the points here. So I was a bit like, stick with what you know for now, because it usually works against Arsenal. And then try, Leeds and beyond, mix up a few things, try and do a few things. But as it happened, we started the game and we started to see that actually a few things had changed, mainly the sort of Trent position, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit. So it looked like he'd sort of Klopp and the coaching team would recognise that if we'd go for the usual approach, we would just be beat, quite simply, because Arsenal are a better team, better playing football side at the minute and got more confidence. So they mixed it up. And for the first, I like the fact that we changed it slightly. You could see that the positions had changed slightly and we were playing a bit differently, but it weren't working for 35 minutes. And I thought actually it was the opposite. I thought we look clueless here. Like, we look like we've tried to change something, clearly not had enough time to work on it because the Chelsea game was in the week. And we just look a bit like, let's just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of thing. And I was a bit like, I think we've tried something here, but it is not working at all. Trent was going into that sort of sixth position. Konate was picking up the ball, didn't know who to pass it to because his right back's not there. So he plays it far into Salah. He's not really got anyone to pass it to. They're pressing up the pitch and getting confidence. Once they get it, they're passing through us at will. They're popping it around. And we couldn't, especially after the first goal, we just couldn't get close to them. We couldn't get close enough to put a challenge in, couldn't get hold of the ball. And it just looked like, damn, whatever we've tried, it's not going to work. The crowd was anxious, and you kind of feel like they could rack up some goals here and really, make a statement in their campaign and really just, again, we'll just walk away feeling a bit embarrassed by what we're seeing. And then it all changes. I think maybe the Xhaka incident sparks the sort of crowd. And then once the crowd sort of gave the team that lift, you see that sort of confidence come back in. You see that fight come back in. The players seemingly then sort of recognize they've got a bit of pride on the line, and they're sort of not just now going through the motions, not just trying to play what they've been told and see what they get out of the game. Actually, it's like, no, we need to go out and make things happen. We're not going to be embarrassed here on our own ground in front of our own fans, And that fight came back, and then the confidence came back, and then I thought we were brilliant. I think from when we scored the goal to the very end of the remainder of the game, I thought that was the Liverpool of old, aggressive, confident, pressing up the pitch, being brave, getting the defenders up the pitch, high line, making sure we engage with the ball when it's sort of cleared from Arsenal, and make sure you win that first ball back to then pile on the pressure in the next wave of attack. I think we did all the things we'd come to see from the Liverpool of old, and look how many chances we created from that. Yeah, you started to see. I didn't think he had a good game, but Salah's then in the game. I think he had 9 shots in that game, which is more than I think he's had in a Premier League tie before. And then you start to see, the goals come in, the penalty. We should have won that game in the end of it. We really should have. We had the chances. Ramsdale put in a few good saves. And I think if it weren't for the final whistle, if it had extra 5 or 10 minutes, we would have gone on to win that. And that's what you want to see. That then suddenly you're walking away from the game going, draw at home against Arsenal. Any other year, you're like, that's not necessarily a good result. But where we are in the season, what we've got to fight for, you're just like, where's that fight been? Where's that attitude been? Because if you can play like that from the off, you'd go back to being that title competing team, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just that the attitude's been wrong all season. It's just been lethargic. It's been uninterested. It's feeling sorry for themselves. It's constantly going into every game week with injuries and feeling like we've already got excuses if we don't perform, instead of actually, now we play for Liverpool. And when you put on that shirt, there's an expectation from you. You step out there as a Liverpool player, you have to give 100%. Forget whether you possibly might get injured or what game's coming ahead or, we're already a few points off the title, so we might as well just relax now. No, you go out and win every single game. And you try in every minute of the game. And I think it was good to see that the attitude was right again. At least it gives us a bit of glimmer of hope that there might still be some players in this squad that can do something for us in the future, that still look like they're interested and are not bored of the tactics and not stop playing for Klopp and all of these things. It's like, do that. Do you know what I mean? If you need a team talk for the next game, it's go do that. We've got Leeds next. It'll be an open game, tough one at Ellen Road because the fans can get on their side and whatever. Can be a little bit hostile, I guess, but there will be space there to play in. It's just you need to take the right attitude. And if I was Klopp, which obviously I'm not, I would just go, pre-match team talk. I'll be going, lads, the second half of that Arsenal game, that's exactly what we need to see from the off. If they do that, they'll win because there's too much quality in the team. There's too much quality in that team to not win if you have that attitude. Unless linesmen start battering our players, and
we'll get to that in a minute because I'll see some mad things on that. I said that some of that this afternoon about the passion that we showed. The first 30 minutes were a total dross. I remember doing the watch along, and I was like, I didn't even know what formation we were playing. I didn't even know what the system was for that first 30 minutes because Trent was basically playing the number 6 alongside Fabinho, which means we had no right back. Which means we're getting annihilated on that side of the pitch again. We'll get to the Trent stuff in a minute because it is interesting. And then from about the 30th minute mark, Trent and Xhaka had that moment. Trent fired up the crowd and we got back in the game. And in the second half, it was the old Liverpool for 45 minutes. And one thing I'll say is Arsenal team are a great side. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, but this Arsenal team are still the same Arsenal team they've been for the last few years. They do not like it when you get in their face. They don't like it. They start to crumble. And Arsenal, everyone's always accused Arsenal of that weakness over the last few years. But if you get in their face, they start to... And it did at Anfield. The cheating from Arsenal, their players going down constantly over no touch and stuff like that. It's... Yeah, it got a bit embarrassing, and look, Liverpool, there was chances Liverpool had. I thought Salah, I know he scored his goal, but I thought he was extremely poor. Penalty miss aside, Messi misses penalties, so I can't go too much, but it was a poor penalty. He had 2 chances as well, which not quite one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but for a man of his class, he was in great positions on the pitch. The one when he tried to score on the near post that he does so many times for some reason. The one I'm on about when he's got the angle and Ramsdale's at the near post. He's trying to pull it in at the near post and he puts it like 5 yards wide. What's a waste? Yeah. What are you doing, man? And it's like, it's balmy. It's so balmy it's so hard sometimes to criticise Mo because what you're watching sometimes drives you mad. He gives away the ball with sloppy passing. He doesn't take his chances. But then somewhere he'll score a goal and he's got 28, 30 GA this season. You're like,
exactly.
How do I go at it? It's so difficult because he's the one player in our team that winds me up constantly. Because I know what I'm
right. Yeah, you did. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
he gives away the ball. He have misses. He'll have chances, but then at the end of the season he's got like 40 GA, and I'm like, how can I ever go at him? The man's got 40 GA. But
Exactly.
he's one of them
Yeah.
players. It's just he irritates you, but you love him
Yeah.
at the same time. And then look, then Darwin missing his chance through on goal. It is what it is. Darwin's got to work better at that. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about Darwin's got to work on his finishing. The one
Which
thing
was
I will
something,
say,
like I think I was sort of, when he first signed, I watched a few like Benfica sort of fan reactions to games and stuff, and tried to do try and get like the Benfica fans take on Darwin, and they said he's not clinical, but he is like a 1 in 3 chance kind of guy. And I was like, okay, 1 in 3. Well, Liverpool create 3 chances in a game, so fine. Yeah, exactly. But when you looked at some of the goals he scored, a lot of them were sort of like tap-ins, and you sort of credit his movement, making sure, making sure instinctual, making sure he's in the right place at the right time. It's a cross into him, or he's at the back stick, or he's just there, Johnny on the spot to put him in or whatever. But there's also a few really composed finishes as well, especially the one he scored against, when he sat Ali down and sort of lifted and curled it into the corner. You think, when you see the goals like that, you think he's got it. There must be that composure there, and he understands what kind of finish it needs to be. But then we've just not quite seen that level of composure. Well, we've not seen that composure at all since he's been at Liverpool. No. Everything's really rash. And when he's through on goal there, his pace, we all know about. And that's what gets him the opportunity, because he's clear. He's a yard ahead of the defender.
He ain't being caught. No, exactly.
Yeah. But it's just like, get your head up. Recognize where the keeper is. Time your run so you engage with the ball at the right time before the keeper. Vardy was an expert at it. He'd just time his run. He looked rapid, but actually, his final few strides were there, so he could just quickly nick the ball away, get a penalty, or he would just dink it over the keeper and stuff. And that's what he needs to work on, because when he missed that chance, the first thing I thought was I feel sorry for Klopp, because we'll come back to tactics and we'll talk about not creating chances, and we're not done enough in the game, or we're not good enough, and it always comes back to the manager. But then you kind of think, well, we do have chances though. Most games we do have chances, and the forwards just ain't taking them. I know defensively we've been in shambles, but we've just not scored enough chances. And if the forwards had been as clinical as they were in the past, it does matter, because defenses win titles. But when you can score goals, it breeds that confidence in your defense as well. The defense is shaky because they're kind of thinking, if we concede one, we would lose. Basically, whereas we concede one in the past, it's like, oh, cool, we'll just go up at the other end of the pitch and score. We'll put 3 away then. That's fine. And you don't worry about the goals you necessarily concede. You should always worry and aim to improve. But once that goal goes in, it's like, fine, dust yourself down, we crack on. Whereas now it's anxiety. It's like, oh, damn, are we actually going to be in this? Are we going to win this game? Can we get back into it and stuff? So it's important that these forwards start to take these chances more. So, you'd look at Nunes, and obviously Jota not scoring for a whole year now is a bit of a concern as well. So,
Jota's a bigger concern to me than Darwin. But when I look at Darwin this season, I'm like, Darwin's a one-touch finisher. Go and look at all Darwin's goals for Liverpool this season. The majority of the one-touch finishes in the box. That's where Darwin needs to be. I think one thing I will say about the Darwin Nunes situation is I think Darwin's confused about where he plays for Liverpool right now. So we bought Darwin as a striker. Darwin plays off a striker for Benfica. That's where he plays. And we brought him into Liverpool. He started that role for a few games, and then we put him out on the left wing. As soon as Luis Diaz got injured, he went out into the left wing. I was like, all right, I'll see what we're going. He's going to play left wing because Luis Diaz is out injured. Fair enough. Right, I don't mind that. Play Bobby in the middle, Salah on the right, and it worked for a little while. And then we went and bought Cody Gakpo in January, and Darwin must have been thinking, at last, I'll go back to the middle. Gakpo's here now, a creative winger that will set me up chances in the box. And it was like, nah, you're going to stay left wing, and Cody Gakpo's going to play through the central attacking area and play a false 9. See, the problem with that is, right, when you play Darwin on the left wing, Darwin's playing there because of his power and pace. That's why he's playing there, right? But the problem is Darwin's not a winger. He's not a touchline winger. He's not a winger. He doesn't cross the ball. That's not really his game. What Darwin wants to do, every time you see him on the left-hand side, he cuts inside to have a shot because that's what he wants to do. The problem is, when he has a shot, and if it's saved or rebounded or deflected, Gakpo, who's in that central area, goes deep because that's his role, So he gets out of Darwin's way. So then you've got no forward in the box or tap-ins, right? If Gakpo was on the left, right, and cutting in or staying out wide to get crosses in, Darwin wouldn't do what Gakpo does by dropping deep. He would run into the box looking for them tap-ins or anything like that. And that's why it's all back to front at the moment. And if you're Darwin, you must be thinking, what's actually going on? Does the manager rate me? Does he want me as a striker? What's actually going on right now? Because you've got to be thinking that. And that's not an excuse for him missing his chance. He should score that yet on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. And he hasn't played 90 minutes in the Premier League yet. He hasn't played a 90-minute game, I don't think, in the Premier League yet. It always comes off. And Jota, the other thing as well, Jota comes back from serious injury, out for months and months and months, comes back and he plays straight away. Plays straight away. And Jota's on the bench. And Jota must be thinking, hang on. So am I behind Jota, Luis Diaz and Gakpo in the pecking order? So Darwin's confidence isn't going to be super high. He doesn't know his position in the team just yet. He doesn't know if he's going to be a left winger. He doesn't know if he's going to be a striker. He's not speaking English. He's already said he doesn't understand the tactics at times and what Klopp's trying to tell him. So you've got to put all them factors into his first season. That's why I never try and rate players in their first season, because he's getting used to something new and he's only young. If Darwin's still doing this next season, then we've got to have questions. But I don't. If you're Darwin, what do you do? Is he going to go Luis Diaz when he comes back fit? If Luis Diaz comes back fit next season, Luis Diaz is number one left winger. I think we can all agree on that. Mo's going to be Mo on the right. And then that leaves Jota, Gakpo and Darwin for the number 9 spot. And at this moment in time, Darwin looks like a third choice.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's had of late, he's not played a whole lot, and I'm not sure if it's to do with the cut on his foot that's sort of aggravating him, which I don't really understand, to be honest. Because if you've got a cut on your foot,
but Jota come back from months of injury and just play straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to show my lack of knowledge here, but if you've got a cut on your foot that says you can't play, I don't understand how you can play half an hour. Like, what happens after half an hour to the cut? It irritates it, like the rubbing against the sock does something. I don't know. It don't make sense to me. He might have another knock. I don't know, but I do think that we need to sort of have a clear plan with him, because I think he's not technically, he's got a lot of work to do. So when you get a new player into a team, if they're technically incredible, they often can just fit in because they'll receive the ball well, they'll offer for it, they'll play the pass, they'll drive, they'll always get on the end of things or whatever it is. They always seemingly look like they'll fit into the side because they're good with the ball at their feet or whatever. Suarez is probably a good example of an incredibly technically gifted player. And you kind of seen from the minute he came in, he just given the ball anywhere or in any kind of play any pass into him at any height, any position on the pitch, he'll make something happen because he's that gifted. Darwin's not quite that. Darwin's just got really stellar attributes that you have to play towards. And I think when you've got a player like that, where it's raw pace, good movement in the box, good in the air, and, he's got that, he is physically, he's quite tall, he can win headers and stuff. I think you have to sort of find and nail down a position for him. And it's not just the position, it's just the movements, it's the patterns of play. It's just teaching him, right, when Trent's got the ball in this area of the pitch, this is where you need to be, and this is the run you need to make. You need to be between the fullback and the centre-back, or you need to be between the centre-backs on the shoulder, or you need to be dropping deep to offer it for the ball so Salah can cut in, and all these things. But when he's doing the number 9 role and then he's doing the inside forward role, the roles are different in terms of what you're being asked to do as a player and where your position should be and what runs you should make at what time. So it must be hard for him coming into the side, registering that in the game, and I think at times he just kind of plays a bit off the cuff. I don't think a lot of it's by instruction when he's doing well. So yeah, I just think I would like to just see him down the middle, quite simply. That's where he's played in his career. He's tall, he's fast, he can be on the shoulder of defense, he's a nuisance. I'd like to see him start to pin defenders and use his physical sort of attributes. He's good. He's got good movement in the box. We've seen it with a few goals that he scored. He gets in at the front post, and he'll get across the defender and things like that. If that's what he's good at, then he should be playing as the 9, just that man that's constantly in the box. he's your target man. If it comes from crosses and things like that. I do get why we've put Gakpo. I think he's fell victim of Gakpo trying to be made into the new Bobby, which I can see because he has a lot of those attributes. But you can't do both, in my opinion. Wow. I think you've got to understand do you want Nunes as your 9 or a left winger and train him as that? And then if you want Gakpo as your false 9 and do the Bobby thing, then do that. But chopping and changing, he might fall upon a system that works. It's happened before. But I do just think they probably need a little bit of direction in what they're being asked to do. Because people talk about options, and options are good as forwards. We've got Salah, Nunes, Gakpo, Jota. Carvalho, I would like to see more, if I'm being honest. I think that guy's got a lot of talent. Cade, when he comes back in, Doak. There's a lot of forwards there. Not all of them will be starting players, obviously, but the ones that start, you need to see patterns in what Liverpool do. It can't just be, right, Jota's playing instead of Diaz, so the whole thing's going to look different. Like, you need some kind of similarity. You need some kind of approach and an instruction going into the game, which I don't think we've been particularly good at. So it's difficult because Luis Diaz is such a different winger to everybody else. You're never going to get a Luis Diaz performance out of Jota. They're just not the same players, which is fine. But then you need to work on combinations. So if Jota plays, does Gakpo play? In my opinion, they're too similar. They occupy the similar kind of spaces. So I would make sure if Jota's playing, Nunes is playing. And then if Diaz is playing, maybe you could go with a Gakpo or a Nunes and these kind of things. Maybe try Diaz on the right and drop Salah for a game. I don't know. It's good to have the options. I just think that there needs to be some clear instructions as to what the manager wants out of these players.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I look at Gakpo and I think playing him as a false 9 is wasted in him a little bit because I don't want him with his back to goal all the time because he is a decent finisher. And you see when he, that goal, was it the, who did he score against the other day when he came off the left-hand side and tucked one into the corner? That's
United.
what Gakpo, United game. That was what Gakpo can do. Come off the left, cut inside and cut one into the corner. That is where I want Gakpo because he's actually quite a decent finisher, running on the end of things from wide areas and cutting inside. Perfect. That's where I want him.
That's a good point, actually. And I think that's what we fell victim to this season. It's like, Gakpo's a good example, but so is Elliott, where it's like, I need these certain attributes out of my midfielder or my false 9. And you, out of everybody else, has most of them, so I'll put you there. And it's a bit like, that's a temporary fix. You'd rather just sign a player for a particular position. So I think we went with Gakpo in the 9 because he's big, he's strong, he can hold up the ball better than anyone else. He can turn on it, he can drive forward, and he can pick a pass.
Yeah, ball,
and that's all great because that's the attributes of what Bobby would do with a little less flair. But then you take away from that position where if he finds himself further forward, he can cut in and hit them, them shots into the corners of the net and stuff. So you take away from some of his game as well. And that's where I think I don't want to just put players into positions because they fit so many attributes. I just want to put them where they would thrive best, and if that means you haven't got a player to occupy any position, well, that's where you go out and sign somebody then. Do you know what I mean? I think we did it with Elliott a lot. It's like he's got some attributes that make him work as an 8, but that's not really where you're going to get the best out of him. So put him where you'll get the best out of him and sign an 8. That's what I would like to see us do more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think some of these players are struggling playing in positions that don't suit them. And Gakpo has mentioned it as well that he's not quite happy playing his false 9 role, but he's doing what the manager tells him at the moment because he's a proper professional, so he's doing it. But there's got to be a plan going into next season. Now is it a formation change? That's what we're going to come on to now about formation changes. And the reason I'm going to talk about formation changes is because obviously we saw something different from Trent Alexander-Arnold against Arsenal in this inverted fullback role. Now, I spoke a little bit about this afternoon. In my opinion, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I've been saying this for a while now, Trent is, 24 now. I can't keep waiting for my 24-year-old fullback every year to get better defensively. Because if I was going to buy a 24-year-old defender on the transfer market tomorrow, am I going to be the one who's quite defensively got issues? Probably not. and go buy another 24-year-old that is more solid as a defender.
Mm.
And the way I look at Trent, I've said this time and time again, this is not a knock on Trent or anything like that. It's more of a knock on the club and the way they've probably handled him more. But Trent Alexander-Arnold was a midfielder as a kid. In the youth system, he was a midfielder. The Liverpool team manager and the coaches looked at Trent and asked the academy to make him a fullback to get into the Liverpool first team because they saw so many qualities in his game, but they didn't think he could play midfield. So they thought fullback would be perfect for him because he's got the whole game in front of him. And we're going down this route of like getting Robbo in, getting Verted, these attacking fullbacks. Klopp saw a system and he got Trent in. And then Trent came into the Liverpool team probably a bit early because of Nathaniel Klein's injury, and Trent stayed ever since and deserves it. But when I look at Trent, and this ain't a knock on him, Trent can defend. There's no doubt about that. When he needs to, he can defend. But he hasn't got defensive awareness, and that's a different thing. He hasn't got that defensive awareness where he's alert to danger. And I don't think Trent will ever have that. No matter what we do with him, it's not in his makeup and his natural game. Trent's creative. He wants to get forward. If you're telling Trent, right, we want you to be an attacking fullback, yeah? He's going to put more emphasis on the attacking part of his game than the defensive part of his game because that's just natural to his makeup and what he does as a footballer. He's not a natural defender. You can see when Trent plays, he's always thinking about going forward first, then defending. That's why he always miss out a lot of back post situations. The ball over the top of Trent is always happening, and he's not taught himself how to stop that from happening because his defensive awareness, he's never in the right positions. So no matter what we go into the future, next season, if it's 4-3-3 against next season, Trent Alexander-Arnold cannot play an inverted right back in a 4-3-3 for Liverpool next season because he hasn't got the defensive awareness to get himself back into defensive fullback areas when he's been asked to attack. I bet Trent loves it playing it yesterday. I bet Trent thought he had it. Look, it was arguably Trent's best game all season because we saw Trent in positive areas where Trent loves to play. He loves going into midfield. He loves passing with the midfielders, playing up with the wingers. When was the last time we saw Trent nutmeg someone on the byline and get a clutch crossing in the 86th minute for a goal? That's Trent at his best. That's when Trent's clutch. That's Trent at his best. But he hasn't been able to do that because that's his strengths. And we should highlight his strengths more. But that's what he loves doing. And you're asking Trent to do that role and be a defender. Trent's his first awareness is going to be the attacking side of the game because it's natural into his makeup. Yes, you can make him a better defender over time. You can teach him to defend a little bit better, and he will. But his makeup is not in that area of the pitch. His awareness of his position as a fullback. We've seen it how many times we talk about it the last 12 months. His positional awareness. It's just not there. And it's not his fault in general because some people are just born to be a defender. They know their position. They know where to pick up the play. They know where to pick up the ball, and they know where to be. Trent don't know where to tuck in or stay out wide. He's always looking confused when he's like in them positions. And I don't know if he's ever going to learn that because he's 24. How many years are we going to continue trying to make him that? Why don't we just go with his strengths? And if that's the case, I've been saying it for about 12 months now. I think Liverpool are perfect for a three at the back. I literally do. I think Trent as a right wing back. I've said it about Reece James many times. Reece James is not the same player when he plays in the back four to when he plays wing back for Chelsea. And the reason is because Reece James even has deficiencies in his defending. People make out that Reece James is immaculate a defender as a fullback. He ain't. It's just that when he's playing wing back, you've got a third, because you've got three at the back, you've got a defender covering you behind. When you're at fullback, no one's behind you. It's all on you. And that means he can be highlighted. I watched Reece James against us last week, and he was getting in lovely areas of the pitch, and he was looking silky, he was looking clever, he was looking smooth, he was looking creative, he looked like the threat. And I was thinking to myself, Trent could be that for us. And Trent's better at it. And I just feel like no matter what players we buy, and I don't know about you, Kev, but what players we buy in the summer for midfield, I just think the system's done. I don't think it matters what players we buy. I think the system's in trouble now because we could play Northampton Town tomorrow, and the manager of Northampton Town will say target Trent.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's ever going to change if he keeps playing at right back.
Yeah, yeah, okay. The thing is with his defensive awareness, we've seen that he can defend at right back quite well. He's not the best, but especially in one-on-one situations, he can. He's come up against the best left wingers in the world, and he's done well. Sane, Neymar, Mbappe. He's done well against
all of them. Like face to face when he's faced up.
Although Martinelli did rip him to shreds, to be fair.
It is Martinelli, to be fair.
Yeah. So he can do it. So there's the side of him that's where he switches off at the back stick and, you know, he just switches off in general. And then it's his attitude. And a large portion, especially the first half of the season, was just down to his attitude. He wasn't tracking back. He wasn't even looking over his shoulder. I remember so many games seeing the opposition goalkeeper take the goal kick and go long. And you'd see Robbo, Virgil, Konate, and then no one at right back. You'd be like, where's Trent? And he's up in the midfield somewhere. You're like, how can that be your starting position? You've got time to get back. And that's where you find yourself. And that's just ill discipline, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure if it's laziness or what it is. I can't work out what goes through Trent's head half the time. But
it's because that part of his game is not natural to him.
Yeah.
It's not natural to him.
But then when you see games like the weekend, I know his position was slightly different, but when there's a game that's got a lot on the line and he switches on and he's in the game, you can see him fired up. He does do well defensively, or well enough. He's not as much of a liability, I think. But
I thought his defending was shocking against Arsenal still.
It was.
It was his attacking play that everyone praised.
Yeah.
The thing ball is, over the top of Trent is always on. Always on. And if we go to the last minute of that game, Trent is so out of position. If Saka passed it properly, we lose.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying about him playing that inverted position as a right back in a 4-3-3. If he's got, it's still going to be. Look, I agree with what you're saying as well. Trent can defend well at times. And I said it earlier. If you look at Trent when he does defend well in games, it's because he's been asked not to attack so much in that game. You know, there's games when he's got to just be the defensive fullback and he's not getting forward as much. He's not crossing that halfway line as much as he used to. And then he has to concentrate on just one thing. I think asking Trent to go, to make Trent a better defender, do we have to eliminate some of his attacking play?
Yeah, there would be some logic to that. But then a good Liverpool team is reliant on Trent's attacking play, unless you change the system. The Liverpool team we've seen, yes, the forwards work very hard and get the goals, but a lot of the creativity is from the fullbacks. So you have to change the system if you're going to do that with Trent, I believe, because I don't think we quite have the forwards or a 10 that really takes on that sort of creative role. You know, you've seen Salah, he tried to take on his fullback a bit. You know, tried to take on Zinchenko a bit at the weekend, and he's not particularly good at it. He's not going to skin players now, you know, and cut in and find the cross or put it in the top bin anymore. He doesn't really do that. Diaz is slightly different, but it's not fluid enough. And then you don't have a Maddison-like player, a Coutinho-like player in that 10 position where you give the ball to them and they will find the through ball. They will find the man out wide to then go and put a cross in. So that's just not how we play. The attack is through the fullbacks usually. So you need him to be at his best offensively. But at the weekend, we've seen him play a midfield role, but that midfield role still requires an element of defensive responsibility. I think the thing that can be said for that is, at least if you've got a player that switches off defensively, would you rather have him at right back or rather have him as a second six? It depends on the situation, but I think just looking at it in black and white, probably the sixth position. But that formation we played at the weekend, very similar to what a lot of the top teams are playing now. Man City probably introduced it more obviously than most. It's like a 3. It becomes a 3 at the back in some respects. It's like a 3-2-2-3, whereby you have Robbo tucking in, you have Virgil and Konate, you have Trent and Fabinho in front, you have your 2 8s in front, which was Curtis and Henderson. and then your three forwards. But the crucial thing with this formation, in my opinion, is when your 2-8s have such a massive role, because they either have to go wide and cover that space that the fullbacks now don't occupy, and become the fullbacks effectively and become a back six, say. But they also have an offensive role where they can make, if you're further up the pitch, they make third men runs. You've seen it with Henderson more so, and actually Curtis for the drag back to Jota towards the goal.
Hang on, it's breaking news. It's breaking news.
Yeah.
Apparently, Liverpool have confirmed that they've sent an offer to Jude Bellingham, to Borussia Dortmund for Jude Bellingham. So apparently, this is just breaking now. So yeah,
scrap the formation talk then. Let's.
So yeah, if more comes through while we're chatting, I'll let you know. But that's all I've seen so far. So yeah, let's carry on. Go.
Yeah, no. So I was just saying that formation. When your 8s go on an overlap, it brings you forwards inside, which is perfect for the likes of Salah and then your left winger Jota or whoever it may be, because it brings them more central towards goal. It's an incredibly intelligent system, but it does take work. And that's why I was surprised to see us do that change with Trent, because the knock-on effect to everybody else is really quite big. And to make that change from in the space of a few days, I thought was quite surprising. And I think it's why I think we did it in the Arsenal game to go man for man. I think that's what it offers you. Is it if you have an extra man in midfield? Because let's face it, if we'd have gone 4-3-3, Trent would have been up the pitch, Robbo would have been up the pitch, and would have defended as a box like we usually do. 2v2 with Virgil and Kanate, and then the box, which would have been Henderson and Fab in front. So when we're offensively playing, and then Arsenal win it back and they break onto us, we box them in the centre of the pitch. And there's been a load of analysis done on that. But that doesn't work for us anymore, because what Arsenal would do is put 4 forwards up. They'd attack with 4 forwards. They're so fluid. They're so good at passing. They'll just outnumber us. You've seen it with the Martinelli goal. Look at the 2 men out wide that Odegaard could have possibly passed to. When we got broke on, we're just outdone by numbers. We've seen it loads this season. So Klopp decided to make Trent inverted and technically come as a 3 as the back and instruct, Henderson and Jones to sort of cover and go man for man. And it just made sure we couldn't be outnumbered when Arsenal tried to attack us. And then it really does boil down to making sure you put your foot in, making sure you win the challenge, making sure you win second balls. That's how you build. That's how you get dominance then. And then you've got Trent in them central areas that can flick any passes out that he wants. I mean, that's the beauty about putting him in that position, is it relaxes his defensive duty slightly and it's less of a liability. But actually, he can still do them cross-field passes. He can still pick out the centre forward or the left winger cutting in. He can still play it out wide to Robbo. But actually, what he can also do from that position, what you see, is them outside of the foot passes into Salah. There was some, I think 2 or 3 times he played, an incredible pass, in the opposing direction to where he's facing. And it just goes slightly over Zinchenko's head and lands at Salah's feet. And you're just like, that's incredible in passing ability. And that's the range that you only really see from Trent when he's ill-disciplined in his positioning and he finds himself more central. So I think they've probably just recognised his passing range. Well, not recognised because they always knew it, but just decided, you know what, we'll try that position. We'll go with the formation that, we'll need working on, but actually we can get a lot more creativity out of Trent. And it gives him more license to get forward as well. He's probably one of the few men that will actually take a shot from outside the box, which is something we don't have as well. So it's I'm not sure if it's going to be the system next season or what we continue with this season. I'm not sure if it's Trent's final position because there's not enough of a sample size. And there will be games where Kanate, who was immense at the weekend, despite a mistake in the lead up to the first goal, he will have to cover that right side of the pitch and that right centre-back area of the pitch alone. And that's where, as good as he is, you might be far out in that as well. So I think time will tell. It will take a lot of work to do that system. When I watch Man City do it, and especially when Rico Lewis played, that's why I really like Rico Lewis. And he's a young lad and he's well known amongst the sort of younger age groups coming up. But when he broke into that team, he looked brilliant because he played that inverted position, but he was all over the park. Like the energy that he shows. And that's where I look at him and I'm like, does Trent have that same energy? I'm not too sure. So there's still question marks over it for me. It's not like a foolproof way we should go, but at least we're looking at a good 45 minutes, 60 minutes where Trent was doing what he does best, really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what I want to see from Trent. Trent has world class ability going forward, and that can't be denied. He's proved it on the biggest stages in club football,
Mm.
and I
I
just
would
don't
argue,
think.
do
Go
you
on.
think when you get in and around the 18-yard box, would it be fair to say Trent's probably our best player on the ball in them areas?
Yeah,
Because
I
he
mean, if you
always picks out his man.
well look at the game. Hendo, I thought Hendo actually had a decent game against Arsenal as the game went on, but Hendo got into decent positions on the pitch. He got into them right-sided areas where he could cross the ball and find a player, but he hasn't got that ability to do it. And
Mm.
you put Trent in that position, and you saw the difference. And also with Trent, as you said as well, Trent. How about that shot he had outside the box that just went over the bar from nowhere? No, there was no
Mm.
lift, there was no back lift, there was no. It was just execution. Trent will score goals in that area. Now, with Trent's ability, I'd like to see it. I reckon he could score up to 8 goals this season from
Mm.
that area of the pitch. And also his assisting, his cleverness. I know I was watching. I've been watching people say about Trent lately. Is Trent actually that good? Is he just a crosser? Can he just spray a 50-yard ball? Has he actually got that technical ability to play a quality pass like a De Bruyne? I was like, he has. He's done it many times that people just forget about it because it's so normalised.
Mm-hmm.
Trent's part, he can do all that. I will never forget the pass that he played to Bobby Firmino at one of the World Club Championships.
Mm-hmm.
That beautiful like 5 yard pass where everyone thought he was going across it into the box. And he just plays that beautiful ball into Firmino, gets it first time and scores the winner against Flamengo, was it? So
Yeah.
Trent has definitely got in his locker, but it's normalised now. Yes, he plays a beautiful 50-yard switch. By the way, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Everyone would be doing it. But because he's
Yeah.
in the position on the pitch that he's doing it, that's why you see that sort of pass more from him because it's
Mm.
where he is on the pitch. You get
Yeah.
him further up the field. You see what he did against Arsenal. Nutmegging Sinchenko on the byline. Getting a clutch crossing. That's a clutch moment, 86
Mm-hmm.
minutes. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'd rather have Trent than probably anyone else in our team right now.
Yeah.
I can't think. I would rather Trent there than Salah doing that cross.
Yeah. I
I'd
agree.
rather. The only other one is Thiago, but Thiago plays centrally.
I,
And
I just think Salah, he'll try to take on his man, but he's not very good at it now. Or he'll
no,
cut in, and quite often if he does put a cross in, he's not picking anyone out, he's putting it into an area. There's a left footer cutting in, so he does this whipped kind of floaty cross. He'll often just play the pass and look to build up the play in a different way. Jota will try bamboozle his way through. Diaz is probably the best because he will cut in and get a shot off usually. And if a defender stands him up, he'll keep running across the box until there is a window of space, and then he'll hit it. Nunez is a bit hit and miss, and then Gakpo we've not really seen because he's always central. So that's why I feel like if I'm going to get a player in and around the 18-yard box, I just feel
it's
like
got to be
Trent
Trent.
he'll take a
Gotta be-
shot, which is often good, or he'll put a cross in, but he's not just putting a cross in. He'll either put a cross into a good area where there should be somebody, and it's like Jesus just touched that in, or he will pick out his man like you see him with Bobby. And I just think if he's the best in and around that area, maybe you should try get him there a bit more. Yeah.
Well, it's like people say, "Oh, Trent can't play in midfield. He can't play in midfield. He can't really play right back at the moment." So it's just that like the reason we're saying he can't play midfield because we've not tried it. Let's try it. And as you're saying, playing this inverted right back role, people like John Stones and that are better at it. Is because they're better defenders, and that is my worry playing Trent in that way.
Yeah.
Going into next season, if we play 4-3-3 just with better midfielders in front of him, still the problem is as well, if you play that inverted way with Trent, you need a midfielder to cover his defensive positioning. So the right back's role ain't empty. So do you really want to buy, say, a Jude Bellingham who takes the Hendo spot in that number 8? Do you really want Jude Bellingham covering Trent when he goes inverted and gets forward into a right back spot? Or do you want Bellingham in and around the box? So do you want to waste Bellingham like that? So Liverpool have really got to think about, and Klopp's got to think about what system he's going to choose. Is he going to be a 4-2-3-1? Is he just going to sit with a 4-2-3-1 where he gets two defensive midfielders in that screen the back four that then allow Robbo and Trent to go back to doing what they used to do, and we just take the odd knock here and there where Trent is a bit unreliable at the back on occasions, but he's back to being his attacking best. Do we do that, or does he go 4-3-3 and play inverted, which I think will cause us more issues than we need to, or does he go fuck it? Let's just go 3 at the back and try it out, and literally just try it out.
I think it'll probably be a hybrid. If I'm guessing now, just going off, Klopp trying that system, I think is a big thing. We know Klopp likes 4-3-3. He might put an extra forward on. We've seen a 4-2-3-1 stroke 4-2-2-2, whatever it is, but it's usually 4 at the back. I think it's not quite 3 at the back in terms of the sheet, like the team sheet when it's rolled out and stuff like this. It's not your starting position, but by Trent going into that midfield position in the game, it becomes a 3 at the back. I think that's a big thing for Klopp to try to make that kind of adjustment. It's a bit exciting, actually, that we're trying something else, that we're trying a different system. And I like to think he's not trying something he doesn't know how to coach. So hopefully we're going to see some, rewards out of this. It's going to get the best out of these players. The thing is as well, it's just everybody else. It's not just Trent. If Trent's going to do the inverted thing, Robbo needs to make sure he's disciplined. He can't do that maraudering charge forward to press because you'll just be leaving 2 at the back. That and you'd just be found out. So he needs to make up at the third man defender, which means he needs to be more disciplined in his positioning. And like I say, the 8s have a crucial role. The other 6-8 so important because he will still play the same kind of role. He'll sit and try and screen the back 4 still. And then obviously your forwards, it's still similar for them in some respects, So I just think the other midfielders, the knock-on effect for them where they need to be in certain phases of the build-up or defensively is crucial. And like you say, if we sign somebody like Jude, does this change with Trent to get the best out of Trent knock on, him and where he might find himself on the pitch? You'd like to think not, but maybe then Jude becomes, the left-sided 8. And you do sign somebody for the right side that is a bit more workmanlike and, a genie type player. I don't know, somebody that's happy to just cover the area of, the pitch and make sure he's just like a Casado probably would be good for that or something. I don't know.
Oh, Casado would be massive for that. It's a mad one because I look at it and think, you got Thiago at the club, but I think, if Thiago's fit, he plays, you could have a midfield of like Bajcetic, Thiago, and Bellingham, right? Say that's a midfield.
Well, Bajcetic might be the one. Bajcetic
could be the one because he was a defender. Now, if Trent does play his inverted role and you play 4-3-3 still, Bajcetic could easily go and fill in that fullback area, allowing your players like Bellingham and Thiago to get further forward in and around the box, and letting Thiago sit a little bit and letting someone like a Jude Bellingham get forward around the box. That could be the way to go, allowing that to happen. It's just, I'm not sure. It all depends what we do in the summer. It all depends what we do in the summer and how they go about finding a system. Because I do think our system's been found out now. I think our system needs. Definitely. I don't think it matters who we buy in the summer. If we carry on playing the same system, it'll still be the same way. We have to change the way our system is, and hopefully that's what Klopp and his team have got looking forward to in the summer. That they're thinking the players to come in to change the way we play up a little bit, which maybe mean a change of formation, and what change of tactics, a change of everything, and we have a fresh start. But let's wait and see on that. Let's talk about a couple of other players here. Let's talk about Konate, man. Right, this kid. Right. I love Konate, man, but I will say, look, I got scorned for this yesterday on Sunday and yesterday as well when I did the reaction video to this. Everyone came at me. I still think Konate was partly at fault for Arsenal's first goal. I keep saying it. I've gone back and watched it. He came out of position. If he stayed in position, he probably wins the ball. They're all at fault. Virgil, Robbo, Fabinho, who just let everyone run past him, by the way. Like, literally just he's like, oh, see you later. Right, literally never even made a tactical foul or anything. And they're all at fault. But after that, my God, Konate in that second half, he come out and went, nah, enough's enough. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
He won everything. And then when Martinelli tried to take him out wide, you see when Martinelli tried to take him out wide and do him out there, and Kanai's like, nah,
Yeah.
not today. Not today, fella. And just walked him off the ball and then took the ball forward. This guy, Cav, is it 35 million we spent on him. The man's gotta be special. This kid's gotta be special.
He's not far off it now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for Liverpool's failings as a whole, as a team, I think you'd be really saying he's probably been one of the best centre-backs in the league this season, if not in Europe. It just so happens that we've been terrible. It's had a knock-on effect to him. Has his injury as well, so it's not been perfect. But when he plays, he has a mistake in him, but his mistake is usually rushing out, following the man.
It's where it's aggressive, because he's aggressive.
Yeah. And if you're going to follow the man, you need to get the ball or the man. You can't let the man on the ball play it off and then just break him behind you, because you will leave space in behind if you track your man into midfield. It was the main thing that sort of was used to criticise him when he first joined Liverpool, and then he got better, and then he seemingly made that mistake a few times recently. But besides that, he's just dominant. He's dominant aerially, physically, pace, and I think the only reason that Trent kind of position and leaving that right back area free works is because of Konate. If the ball's put long, he's got the pace. We've seen his good one-on-one. He's strong. He won't be bullied. He's aggressive. Yeah, he's got everything you need as a modern day centre back. And at the minute, I think he's probably our best centre back currently based on form. I think he's ahead of everybody, including Virgil. I know it's a stupid thing to say because Virgil's going to play alongside him if they're both fit. But if you had to pick one at this point in time, it would be Konate. He's just a specimen of a player. Like Haaland is as a forward, big, strong, tall, aggressive, can score with both feet, can score a header, can run by players, can do everything in that position. Konate is the same as a centre back. Everything you want out of a centre back, he has. There isn't an area of his game that is massively flawed. He probably could improve on his reading of the game. Maybe he's not Virgil level intelligent, but that comes with experience. That comes with playing. Virgil's always been a good centre back. But he's in his 30s now, and he was good in his late 20s. Konate's still a young man, so I think he's amazing. I do think he needs I think Virgil's obviously going to be here for a few years yet. But when Virgil moves on, Konate is going to be the main man, I'd like to think. Hopefully no one comes in and tries to prize him away. And you'll need a good foil for him, though. If he's going to be the engager, the aggressor, you need a good covering centre-back and things like this. So it's important that we work on who the next man is going to be as his partner as well. So he's brilliant. I love him. And quite often we've played games and Bisetic, he's been the sort of standout man. And if it's not him, usually it's Konate. So that says how good he's been, I think.
Yeah, Konate's just been. I mean, that tackle on Xhaka, Jesus Christ! He won the ball clean. I've never seen a ball run so clean. The ball was run so clean, but it was so aggressive at the same time. Like, nah, he set the tempo in the second half. In my opinion,
it's the first man on the scene when it comes to scraps as well. I like that about him. Do you know what I mean? Someone tries to start on Robbo or whatever, he's straight over there. We've seen it probably most famously in the United game last season. And obviously this time when it kicked off the Robbo. I like that. He's got a bit of not a baby face, but he don't look, he looks young, doesn't he? If you just look at his face. But he's got some aggression in him. Yeah.
He don't even look mean, does he? He looks like a really nice guy, but he plays with aggression. And that's why sometimes he's out of position sometimes because of that aggression. He wants to get to the ball first, and that he'll get better. I mean, he's 23, but he's already, and he's decent passer with the ball. He can come out with the ball as well. He's actually quite good coming out with the ball because he's so strong and quick. He's just knocking people off the ball. We saw he can be dragged out wide. He doesn't mind that. I think he actually likes it because it gets to show off his pace and his strength.
Yeah.
I love Konate, man.
The only concern I would have with him is that his body lets him down because he carries a lot of muscle.
He's a big fella. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's a big man. He probably weighs a ton. And he's tall. And I just hope that, you know, he doesn't break down because of that. You can see him being someone that gets sort of muscular injuries and little tears and stuff. So I hope he does all the right things to stay fit, because he genuinely has the ability to probably be the best centre-back in the world at some point. It's not beyond the realms of possibility for him.
I think if you can keep Virgil and Canate fit, there'll be a quality partnership. Now, Virgil's got a lot of issues this season. We know that there's something not quite right with Virgil. But what people want Virgil to do when they look at Canate, Virgil's never going to do. Virgil's not an aggressive centre-back. I've always said that. When you have a perfect centre-back combination, you always have the aggressor and you always have the calm one. I look at Hippier and Carragher. Carragher was the aggressive one, threw himself at everything, wanted to get into challenges. And Sammy Hippier was just the stylish centre-back, the smooth one. You know, the one that, you know, could take it down in the chest and bring it out and just mop up and stuff like that and just look super stylish. And that's what Virgil is. He's not an aggressive centre-back. Like, so people that want Virgil to be like Canate, it's never going to happen because that's not Virgil's way of being a defender. I just think I'm just going to look at Virgil. Virgil is more of your intelligent centre back. He plays chess. You know, that's what Virgil plays. He plays chess. He waits for the attacker to make their move and then he counters it.
Fuck me, I don't know what chess he's playing at the minute, but yeah.
I mean, he's playing drafts right now.
He's playing
drafts right now.
He's got his things like he's got the points on the wrong squares at the minute. Jesus.
But I need to see what Virgil does next season. Because I always go back to what Palio Maldini used to say. You should never know how good your defenders are at defending.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for us, we have no midfield right now. So Virgil and Canate have to defend from minute 1 to minute 90 constantly with barrages of attacks. So I want to see what it's like next season when we get a better midfield in. We change systems, tactics, and all that. And let's see how Virgil is next season. If Virgil is still like this next season, then we just got to let him go and we've got to move on and find someone else because there's obviously just a major issue that can't be changed. But I'm hoping it's just a one season thing. He comes to the summer, he has time off. I don't think there's any football this summer, and he can just go and relax and unwind and come back a different player into his team that hopefully comes back in pre-season. He sees he's got new midfielders playing a different kind of way, different system, and it benefits him and it keeps him fit. Canate is fit. They're a quality partnership. I know there's a lot of debate going about Virgil on Twitter at the moment about because Carragher did that thing about Vidic. Look, we live in a time where someone put a compilation up on Twitter about all Vidic's mistakes. And if you go back and watch it, you're like, Jesus Christ, Vidic made a lot of defensive errors. But because it weren't so rife back there with Twitter on social media when Vidic was playing, everyone just looks at Vidic and thinks he's this unholy, untouchable. I don't get football Twitter sometimes because for some reason, you are not allowed to compare anyone to Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. It's like against the rule or something. Like you can't come at Man United defenders for some reason. You can't. Yeah, they were quality, but I have not seen in my lifetime for them 2 years of his peak a defender like Virgil van Dijk. It's just a fact.
Yeah,
it's just a fact. He was 6 votes away from winning the Ballon d'Or against prime Messi and prime Ronaldo. Tell me another player who's actually done that in the last 10 years, let alone a poxy centre-back. He was that good. Messi voted for him. He was just... Virgil was that good. His peak in them 2 years might be higher than any peak I ever saw Ferdinand and Vidic play at. Yes, Ferdinand and Vidic are always going to have longevity over him. Yeah, that's a fact, right? But at their peak of their abilities and their powers, were they ever as good as Virgil was in that 2 year peak? And for me, the answer is no. Right? And I don't get why people get so upset with that. Yes, it doesn't mean Vidic and Ferdinand, Man United fans, were terrible, by the way. World-class defenders. But were they at the peak of what Virgil was for that 2 year spell? He was almost playing like a Superman. He made us believe Joe Gomez was good. That's how good Virgil was.
Don't let NC you say that.
we sat here thinking Virgil was like Joe Gomez was. Oh, he's the perfect partner. He's amazing. And then you're like, oh no, it's actually like Virgil is just Superman. And he's making everyone just look whoever's next to him great,
Mm.
and it's just I don't get it. We could go on about peaks in football, yeah, peaks, and then Man United fans would go, well, look at all the trophies he's won. He's won one of everything. Big wow, we won multiple stuff. So Darren Fletcher's a better midfielder than Steven Gerrard, is he? Because he won multiple league titles. Wes Brown, is he a better defender than Matip or Van Dijk? No. I mean, John O'Shea, yeah, they won trophies because you had a world-class manager. Come on. Let's stop being silly. Ferdinand and Vidic will always have longevity. But then Man United fans pick Yap Stam out. And they're all about longevity. Yap Stam's only at Man United 2.5 years. So it's a mad. I find it silly. I just can't understand why we can't just admit things that Virgil in them 2 years of his peak was just at a higher level than any centre-back I've witnessed in my watching time as being a football fan. Yes, longevity, the rest have got it, but that's how I look at it, Cav. I don't know about you.
I just totally agree, mate. I think I'm not going to argue with too many people if they talk about longevity. A lot of people believe this is just like 1 or 2 good seasons because they look at the year we won the Champions League and the year we won the Premier League, and they kind of forget the years we took Man City to within a point, and we had really good campaigns then, and he was exceptional then. He's really been exceptional since he joined, hasn't he? So that's quite a few years. There is sustained longevity there. But, if people want to argue against the longevity and the trophies that, we've won as a team, fine. I'm not too fussed about that. But I do agree with you. I think at all of their peaks, I would put Virgil ahead of them all. I think he was, for me, I seen Rio and I seen Vidic, obviously, and John Terry and Carvalho and these defenders in the Premier League. But I watching Virgil, just never seen a centre back look quite like it. Just dominant in every respect, and dominant and made it look all completely easy. Just looked he looked like he was a man playing in a boys' game. Do you know what I mean? Looked like he was, when you got your 7-year-olds playing and your dad just rocks up on the pitch and just thought that's what it looked like. Just looked like he was just so much better, so much bigger and stronger and more intelligent than everybody else. And he was incredible. He was. And I hope he gets back to somewhat near that level. I hope this is just the down season. It's been bad for Liverpool as a whole, not just him. And I hope that Liverpool improve as a team next season with some recruitment. And that means he'll improve and give him a bit of confidence, give him that sort of belief back in himself. He there's no reason why he can't be. He probably won't be peak Virgil, but he could go back to being the best centre back in this league, which is good enough.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, his level was so high. Any drop from that level is going to be obvious, ain't it? That's where we're playing at so far. Yeah. But I'm willing to give Virgil to next season because
definitely, yeah. It's Virg,
if he comes back next season and it was just a blip in his career, that was all it was. And
they've all had them, by the way. All these top centre backs have had.
But they pretend he never saw one from Terry or anything like that, or Ferdinand, and pretend they never had all these blips. Of course they did. Everyone has blips in their careers. Let's talk before we finish. I just want to talk quickly about Bobby Firmino. Now, we're talking about Gakpo playing the false 9, and then a certain Bobby comes on against Arsenal and shows the world how it's actually done.
I think Jesus is incredible, but I don't think you'll see a false 9 played like Bobby played it for a long, long time.
I think he's been the best ever false 9. Like, if you look at it, Messi sort of like made the false 9 role, yeah? When Pep was at Barcelona, he basically made Messi that false 9. They sold Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and they sold Eto'o and all these players and David Villa, and they basically made Messi that sort of number 9, but he wasn't a number 9. And Pep said, it's a false 9. And that's where the false 9 thing came from. And Messi, arguably, because it's Messi. But take the Messi away from it. Has anyone actually done it better than Bobby Firmino? Like, in seriousness. And this ain't coming from just a Liverpool point of view.
No,
Has anyone actually done it better than him?
I think if you look at, one criticism you could maybe label is he could have got more goals. Possibly, right? Could have got more goals. Maybe could have got more assists. That much is true. but he really was the system. You know, everything, not everything went through him, but the system worked because he was there and what he was able to do. We all know about it. We talked about it, dropping in, being the second man to engage with the opposition on the ball, winning it back high up the pitch, making it possible to give to the forwards that then have space to break into and can cause chaos and all of this. You know, and then you add the trickery and the flair to it, which is what we needed in certain games to break down low blocks and break down oppositions. You forget about that league campaign we had where we won the title. The amount of sort of flicks and Cruyff turns and stuff he did to sort of just move a defender and create space to be able to lay it off to Salah and Mane to get the goals. You know, I think a lot of it's probably not quite as appreciated as it maybe should be, but he's been incredible at that. And then just as a player, you know, football is an entertainment, isn't it? We go there not to make money. Most of us lose money by following football, but you go there to be entertained ultimately within this sport and all sports. And he entertains you. The goals, the trickery, the flair, the style, the celebrations, the hairstyles, the glaring teeth. Plays with such joy and happiness that I just don't think you're going to see somebody like him at Liverpool, especially for a long, long time. I think we'll have better players. We'll have players that achieve records and achieve more trophies possibly. And that, you know, you'll think are probably bigger in terms of legendary status. But as a complete footballer that's a role model and, you know, has all the sort of attributes outside of the actual game itself, I think he's just an incredible superstar. He brought joy to Liverpool when we were really lacking it as well. You know, you look at the forwards that we had before he came in from Hoffenheim, and you know, yes, we had Coutinho and stuff, but we really were a bit dull. You know, we just come out of sort of the Hodgson era, aren't we? And it was a bit flat and we didn't have much spark and it was really just doom and gloom. And he just comes in and he didn't transform it. I think Mane was the signing that really transformed it under the Klopp era. But
yeah, definitely.
He was the man that was the joy. He was the life in Liverpool for so long. And this is his farewell tour. And it's sad, honestly. I thinking about the fact that he's not going to be here next season, it's really sad.
Bergkamp, everyone's saying, look, Bergkamp's quality. I think, yeah, Bergkamp and Bobby are definitely in the Premier League era. Yeah, Bergkamp was class, man. There's no doubt about it. Bergkamp was quality. Big up Jamie, can you give a sub to Andy? A sub to Andy? Sorry, I'm not. Who's Andy? Who's Andy? This Andy. Andy, you got a channel? I didn't know that. I'll sub to your channel.
No, I think Jamie, I'm not sure if you've seen it, mate, but Jen's just gave out some memberships.
Oh, right. Yeah, it doesn't come up on StreamYard.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. But big up to you, Jen. I'm sure everyone appreciates that.
Big up, Jen. Thank you very much. Yeah, it doesn't come up on StreamYard. Sorry, Jen. I have to get out of my actual YouTube to see that. Jen's giving up 5 memberships. Jen, that costs quite a bit. Big up to you. Big up to Jen. Yeah, sorry, Jen, that don't come up on my StreamYards. StreamYards comes up super chats like that, or people that have bought a membership, but it never comes up people that have given memberships out. So for some reason, but yeah, big up, Jen. Big up, Jen.
There's a few names that the guys, the chat are putting in that's like fully respectable. There is better 10s out there. I just think Bobby's a special player, honestly. And you still see glimpses of it now. I know he got his goal, but like when he was tracking back and winning the ball back and then going by a man and then playing a pass, you just think that looks different. I've not seen that from Liverpool this season. As good as Gakpo's been in coming in and doing that role, I've not seen that. You know, I've not seen that ability. I've not seen. It feels like rolling back the years. It was only last year and the year before, but like rolling back the years to see our midfielder go to engage with the ball that Arsenal had, and then seeing Bobby come from behind and nick it as well. It's like that's what we were so good at was like having multiple presses on the ball and piling that pressure on, and the opposition panicking if not losing it, and then going up the pitch and attacking. Like such a selfless player, man. He's great.
No, and what I don't think enough people have spoke about either is his goal the other day as well. That one, the controlled header he scored with. Look, we're talking about the 87th minute. And that ball comes at him. It's a beautiful cross. But if you go back and watch it, he doesn't smash it in with his head, does he? It's a controlled header. And he's put it in a part of the goal that no goalkeeper can get to. And yeah, I don't think that's been enough people have actually spoke about that, how good that header was. And yeah, he's different class, man. Bobby Firmino is a player that it's gotta break me heart when he leaves. I ain't gonna lie.
I hope he gets a proper send off at Anfield. You know, he deserves it. There's going to be a few players going, obviously, this summer. Milner's probably one. Naby's probably one. Forget that guy. Fucking don't even parade him around. And a few others. But I think Bobby deserves a special moment with the Anfield crowd. Just him and his family. I'm sure they'll present him with they usually do just
give him the key, Liverpool. That's what I say. Take the key off Klopp and give it to Bobby. That's what I say.
Yeah, they usually give him like a signed thing, don't they? And remember, just give him that special moment. He deserves it.
We got Someone joining us for the last 10 minutes of the show, guys. We've got a special guest joining us. He is, I believe, he's probably number one on the Bobby Firmino fan list. And it's Cal from Coppish. Big up, Cal.
Hey, how you doing, brother? Big up, Cal
How you doing,
well.
man?
How you doing,
hey, Cal. Good to see you, mate.
I came in at the right time.
Bobby Firmino,
we're just giving Bobby his flowers. We're just waxing lyrical about Bobby right now.
Yeah, he always gets flowers from me, man. Bobby's my guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be a hypocrite if I say I think it's a good time for him to leave. Even in the Arsenal game, you saw he came on. He was linking up, playing nice, but the legs are going in a Klopp system. You can see it, but I love that guy, man. He's been my favorite player since he's arrived at Liverpool. Even when we had Coutinho, there was just something about Bobby. That first Arsenal game where he scored that brace, and I was just like, that's my number.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Mane, when he left, I was like, I probably the right time.
Because I expected
he wanted to leave the year before.
Yeah.
But Bobby's never wanted to leave.
I know.
I think if we didn't sign Gakpo, I think Bobby signs his contract. You know, I think the Gakpo signing, he looked at it and thought, well, I'm probably fourth in the pecking order now. So, what I love about Bobby as well, and this is what I love about him, I would play him against Leeds, right? I would start him against Leeds because I know Bobby's going to give me 100% and isn't going down tools like people like Nabbies and Oxys have. Yeah. Bobby will play for this club till the day he leaves. A bit like Mascherano. I always gave that respect to Mascherano. Mascherano wanted to leave Liverpool, but we still played him and he gave everything for the club.
Yeah.
And I respect that kind of player.
Suarez as well. Suarez.
Suarez. Yeah. I mean, he got hungry, but
I think it's a South American thing. I think it's a mentality thing. I think
pride. They have pride as well.
They've got such a pride about themselves and how they play the game. They want to win it no matter who they're playing for, even if they know they're moving on. It's admirable.
Yeah. Where do you think he rocks up though? Because he'll continue playing, won't he?
Italy or Spain?
I think Italy. I think it's perfect for Italy.
I mean, if João Felix leaves Atletico Madrid, he could be kind of saying that Simeone's not going to be there next season, so it's quite difficult to see what direction they're going to go in as well.
I could see him at like an Inter Milan and something like that, you know.
Same.
You don't think he'll just go back to Brazil and
No, I think he's got two. I think I heard somewhere he's got two offers on the table that he's not thought of yet. I said it yesterday, you know, in my show yesterday. I said I'd rather keep Bobby over Jota if I had to choose two of them, and I think I don't know what we do with Jota next season. I really don't. He hasn't scored.
Be careful, Jamie, bro. I raised these questions on Coppish and it did not end well for me, bro.
I don't know. I literally look at him and he hasn't scored for 12 months. Yes, he's had injuries, but he's also. I went back and looked at it. He's played 28 games in that time, not including injuries, and he hasn't scored. Yeah. He played 19 games at the end of last season without scoring. I think there is an issue, and I look at Jota. We got Darwin and Gakpo in, and I just look. I don't know when Luis Diaz is fit, he's our number one left back. Mo's your left midfielder, left winger. Salah's your number one right winger, and then you've got a choice between Gakpo and Darwin by looking for number 9. I just don't know where Jota fits in right now. Hopefully he gets better, but I think it's a big coming for any of our forwards, especially Jota. I think Jota leaves if a big comes in for him, but. There's talking about bids, Cal. I don't know if you just heard about this. So apparently Liverpool just bid 84 million for Jude Bellingham.
84.
Yeah, as a starting point. So apparently there's been rumours going on.
Get rejected.
Apparently there's been rumours going on all day about Jude's chosen his club. A lot of the talk is that it's going to be Liverpool. He doesn't mind that they're not going to be in the Champions League next year because he can see the future. He's going to be at the club for years, ain't he? So it's not a big.
You seen Dortmund's tweet? They're doing a little bit of trolling themselves.
Yeah, I think so. I literally think something's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. But why not? Dortmund might as well have a bit of fun with it. He's clearly had conversations and said he's going. They might as well have a bit.
Dortmund did the same thing with Sancho and Haaland. Yeah. They had the same sort of fun with it as well. I think there's something going on. And also with GIC, I don't know if you heard this, Cal. So I had someone from Singapore actually on my channel last Wednesday on my calling show. And he was telling us about everything in Singapore at the moment. They're chatting about GIC and Liverpool. There's a lot of talk in the country about it. And I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't know about it. So he was telling us all the lowdown. And then a few days later, I saw an article on This Is Anfield website. And I did a video about it and about Liverpool looking at investment. And it's going to be at the end of the season. Journalists are also saying the last few months that there's a war chest that Liverpool go to spend. They're not saying FSG. They're saying Liverpool will go to spend 250 million. And then today, my man Frankie, who's from Singapore, messaged me today and said, I can give you the lowdown right now if you want.
Yeah.
Where is it? Right, here we go. So he said, Jamie, so he wanted to share this with me. So was told the final numbers in the FSG and GIC private limited agreement are as follows. GIC will acquire 33% stake in Liverpool, and he's put in Liverpool only. So it's not anything about FSG. And it's going to be 1.3.2 billion. Deal announced at the end of the season. And that's coming from his own country.
All right, so my heart is pounding because it's like, money. We're going to get players.
And they're worth 700 million.
I know that much. I know. Yeah, I know that they're mega rich. Again, maybe I'm so simple-minded that I can't fathom this because I'm looking at it too simplistic, but it still doesn't resonate with me how an investor's going to come in, give Liverpool money to make signings and not really get anything back for it, unless we become successful overnight again, which is going to be extremely hard next season. But even 1.3 billion for 33%, if you're timesing that by 3, that's only 3.9 bill. Whereas if I'm led to believe what we've been hearing, FSG weren't going to settle for less than 4.5 bill for 100% stake. So I don't know. It's one of those things I'll only kind of believe when I see it. I know we as content creators, we've got to speak about it, obviously, but
yeah, of course, yeah.
I got my heart broken from November to like February when I was convinced we were going to be signing Bellingham, Gvardiol, Mbappe, and everyone because we were getting bought out by new owners, and then only for John Henry to come out and say, "Well, we're not selling." So
it might be a commitment agreement. It might be that they have a valuation of 4.5. People aren't meeting it because they don't want to pay more to take on the full asset. So they might be taking 33%, which is, completely a third, isn't it? And it's like 33%, but you still run the operation as it is, which is still a sustainable model and a profitable, slightly profitable business. And then they'll gradually take over. That also gives the investor what they want, which is at some point in time, a majority share or a complete ownership without the risk necessarily, because when you invest in a business that's sustainable, that your money's well tied up, isn't it? They're not going to lose that money unless something's massively changed. And like I say, 33%, they'll still have a say in operations as well. So it might just be a bit of money that gets them in the door, gives them enough say and control in how things run, whilst also having confidence in what that model currently delivers, with a view of extending in the future. Because like I say, throwing up 4.5 billion and taking it on completely, you got. I mean, these boys are set up. They've got people in the right people in place to start running with this. But it is still a risk. They take it on completely. FSG walk away and they've got to make sure they understand that model or have a model themselves that will make sure that they can be successful. Otherwise, they'll chuck money at it. And I know these guys are very rich, but one thing they don't like to do is lose money as well.
Yeah, of course.
So it might still be a positive thing.
And my only worry with the whole midfield stuff, my whole worry with the midfield is stuff. So I know my club, I know how it works,
Jay, maybe you've just nailed it. 33%. They're just buying midfielders.
Yeah.
It's the third of the team.
or what they're going to do. They badly want Jude Bellingham. Yeah, Klopp wants Jude Bellingham. If Klopp was asked, do you want 3 midfielders or just Jude Bellingham? I think it just goes Jude Bellingham.
So do I.
And if that's the case, I know my club, man. Trent in midfield.
Yeah.
Pacetic in midfield. New signing of Jude Bellingham. That's your new midfield right there. That's 3 players.
Yeah, Tyler Morton.
And they've got Tyler Morton coming back, who I think has got an opportunity to break into the squad. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone on loan to Blackburn. You've got Harvey Elliott hanging around as well. I'm a bit worried about Harvey Elliott next season. I'm not going to be blunt about it. I don't know what we do with Harvey Elliott next season.
He'll be salary back up.
And then you've got Curtis Jones, who's still around as well. And I just look at it and think, I know my club, I know FSG, I know my manager. He wants Bellingham. He gets Bellingham, which I think happens now. I really do. I think Liverpool get Jude Bellingham. Be a massive marquee signing, don't get me wrong. Be huge. And we're go, all right, we've got Jude Bellingham. It's the first of the puzzle. The transfer season will go on and on and on. It's like, hang on, everything's going a bit quiet here. And then we go, and then Paul Joyce or someone put out an article. Liverpool see Trent as a midfielder going forward now, not a right back anymore. They're going to try this new formation. You got Thiago,
play right back.
Yeah, and you got Thiago, Bellingham, Harvey Elliott, Trent, all these young guys, new blood, new midfield, and that's what they're trying to look at next season. And then you got Gakpo and all that, who I think could play midfield as well. So, yeah, I honestly think that's the way Liverpool go look at it. But Cal, thanks for dropping in, man.
No, thank you, appreciate it. We'll sort something out properly as well, Jamie, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Enough. Cav, always a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, good to see you again, Cal. Hope you're well, mate.
Take care, guys. Smash the like button, guys. Subscribe to Jamie's channel. Big up, boys.
Big up.
Cheers, Cal.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that's the way it happens. But guys, we are going to leave it there. That was a great show. Spoke about loads there. We're going over 2 hours, and we spoke loads there, trying to work things out. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow for 6 o'clock. Only one show off me tomorrow, 6 o'clock for the call-in show. And calling. Did you see any of the call-in show last week? It was mental.
No, but I got them saved, and I am going to catch up.
Oh man, go just watch last week's. It was heated. Yes. So,
I'm gonna watch the Champions League because Bayern City run now.
Yeah, that's what we're
catch
going
up
to do
and call
now.
in afterwards.
Right, big up, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. Hit the like button on the way in if you're watching this on a replay. Comment below and subscribe and share. Big up to everyone. See you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Bye-bye.